Why do some people do better in life than others? Some people make more money, live better lives, and get a lot more done in the same amount of time as most people. What is the real key to getting ahead? Most of the time, I start a lecture with a short workout. I ask the crowd, how many of you would like to double your income? A lot of people smile and raise their hands. Then I ask, how many of you here would like to lose weight, get out of debt, or become financially free? Once more, everyone smiles, some cheer, and all of them raise their hands. Then I say, great. Everyone has these great goals: more money, more time with family, better health, and being able to live on our own are all things that everyone wants. We all want the same things, and we all know what we need to do to get them. We all plan to do those things at some point. But before we start, we decide we need a short holiday to Someday Isle, a wonderful dreamland. We state, someday I'll read that book. Someday I'll start that exercise program. Someday I'll upgrade my skills and earn more money. Someday I'll get my finances under control and get out of debt. Someday I'll do all the things that I know I need to do to achieve all my goals. At some point, 80% of the people on the island probably live there most of the time. Their minds are filled with all the wonderful things they plan to do one day. Who are the people around them on Someday Isle? There are other people on Someday Isle. What is the main thing people on Someday Isle talk about? Excuse me. They all sit around and talk about why they need to be on the island. They ask each other, why are you here? Not surprisingly, most of their excuses are the same. I didn't have a good childhood. I didn't get a good education. I don't have any money. My boss is very critical. My marriage is bad. No one loves me. Or the economy is bad. They have excusitis, a disease that always ends in failure. Everyone means well, but we all know that good motives can lead to bad things. It's easy to follow the first rule. Vote yourself off the island. Give up your reasons. Otherwise, don't say why you didn't do it. Don't waste your amazing brain power coming up with complicated reasons why you shouldn't do something. Do something. Do something. Do it now. Say to yourself over and over, if it's to be, it's up to me. That's why losers make excuses. Winners move forward. How do you know if your best reason is good or not? It's easy. If you're being honest, you'll have to say that there are thousands or even millions of people who have had much worse things happen to them and have gone on to do great things with their lives. You can do the same things that millions and millions of other people have done if you try. Some people say they would surprise themselves if they worked as hard to reach their goals as they do, to come up with reasons why they can't. But first, you have to get kicked off the island. Just a few people are lucky to start out. Personally, I did not finish high school. I did manual tasks for many years. I didn't have a lot of schooling or skills, and my future wasn't very bright. That's when I asked myself, why are some people more successful than others? My life changed because of this question. I've read a huge number of books and papers about success and performance over the years. It looks like people have talked and written about these achievements' reasons in every way possible for more than 2,000 years. Most thinkers, teachers, and experts agree on one thing: self-discipline is important. To stay away from lies, you need to be disciplined. Being self-disciplined lets you vote yourself off the island. To live a great life, you need this. Without it, you can't be successful in the long term. Getting better at self-discipline changed my life, and it will change yours too. I was good in sales and then in management because I kept pushing myself to do better. I finished school and got my MBA when I was 30 years old. It took me thousands of hours of hard work to do this. Before anyone else, I brought Suzuki cars into Canada, opened 65 shops, and sold $25 million worth of cars. And this is all after I started out knowing nothing about the business. I did have the focus and drive to learn what I needed to know and then put it into practice and do what I needed to do. I got into real estate development with no understanding or experience. I used dedication, along with hundreds of hours of work and study, to get where I am now. After that, I built shopping malls, industrial parks, office buildings, and neighborhoods for people to live in. You can help me build a great business by teaching, advising, speaking, writing, recording, and distributing. More than $500 million worth of my books, workshops, training programs, radio and video programs, and more have been sold in 54 countries and 36 languages. More than 5 million people have learned from me in live classes and talks over the years. I've worked as a consultant for more than 1,000 businesses. In all of these situations, self-discipline has been very important to my progress. I learned that if you are willing to pay the price, do what you need to do, and never give up, you can reach almost any goal you set for yourself. Who should read this book? For bold, driven men and women who want to do everything they can in life, this book was written. People who want to do, have, and be more than they have ever been before should read it. The most important thing to remember about success is that you have to change in order to achieve great things. What really matters is not the things you get or do, but the kind of person you have to become in order to do well above average. Getting more self-disciplined is the way to go. That makes everything possible for you. For step-by-step instructions on how to become a great person who can achieve remarkable things, read this book. A chance meeting reveals the key to success. I went to a meeting in Washington, D.C. a few years ago. During my lunch break, I ate at a nearby food fair. I sat down by myself at the last empty table, even though it was meant for 4 people. The area was busy. A few minutes later, an older man and a younger woman who looked like she was his helper showed up with food trays and were clearly looking for a place to sit. Since I had plenty of space at my table, I got up right away and asked the older man to join me. He wasn't sure, but I insisted. I was glad when he finally sat down, because then we could talk over lunch. Kopmeyer was his name. As it turned out, I knew who he was right away. He lived up to the myths of success and accomplishments. Kopmeyer had written 4 best-selling books. Each one had 250 success tips that he had gathered from studying and researching for more than 50 years. I had read all 4 books through several times. Of all the 1,000 success principles you have discovered, which do you think is the most important? Is a question that many people would ask in this situation. He smiled at me with a twinkle in his eye, as if he had been asked this question many times, and he replied without hesitating. The most important success principle of all was stated by Albert Hubbard, one of the most prolific writers in American history at the beginning of the 20th century. He said, "Self-discipline is the ability to do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not." He went on to say, "There are 999 other success principles that I have found in my reading and experience, but without self-discipline, none of them work. With self-discipline, they all work. Thus, self-discipline is the key to personal greatness. It's the magic quality that opens all doors for you and makes everything else possible. With self-discipline, the average person can rise as far and as fast as his talents and intelligence can take him. But without self-discipline, a person with every blessing of background, education, and opportunity will seldom rise above mediocrity." 2 of your worst enemies. Self-discipline is the key to success, and not having it is the main reason people fail, get frustrated, don't achieve their goals, and are unhappy. We'll make reasons and be hard on ourselves because of it. The road of least resistance and the need to get things done quickly may be the 2 things that stand in the way of success, happiness, and personal satisfaction the most. Many times, people choose the easy route because it has the least amount of trouble. They look for easy ways to do everything. They get to work right at the last minute and leave as soon as they can. They are looking for quick ways to get rich and simple ways to make money. They get into the bad habit of always looking for a simpler, faster way to get what they want, instead of doing what they need to do to be truly successful. The law of least resistance is expanded by the convenience factor. This factor is even worse when it causes people to fail and not achieve their goals. People will always look for the fastest and best way to get what they want right now, and they won't care much about how their actions will affect them in the long run. To put it another way, most people do what is convenient, fun, and easy instead of what they need to do to be successful. Along with the angel on one shoulder, there is a fight going on inside you every day between what is right, hard, and necessary, and what is fun, easy, and not very important, like the devil on the other shoulder. If you really want to become everything you can be, you have to fight and win this battle with the ease of things and the road of least resistance every minute of every day. Self-mastery is another word for self-discipline. You can only be successful if you can control your feelings, wants, and needs. People who can't control their hunger become weak and lazy, and they can't be relied on for other things either. Self-control is another word for self-discipline. The sign of a great person is the ability to keep their actions and thoughts in check, to make sure that what they say and do is in line with their long-term goals and objectives. People have said that discipline means denying yourself. To do this, you have to resist the easy joys and desires that lead so many people wrong. Instead, you have to train yourself to do only the things you know are right for the long term and right for the time. Deferred happiness means being able to wait to feel good in the short term so that you can enjoy bigger benefits in the long term. Plan ahead for the long term. Dr. Edward Banfield, a sociologist at Harvard University, studied why people move up in society and income levels in America for 50 years. Looking at things over a long period of time was the most important trait he found in people who were very successful. Banfield said that time perspective is the amount of time that a person thinks about when deciding what to do right now. That is, people who think about the long term are the most successful. They think as far ahead as they can to figure out what kind of people they want to be and what kinds of goals they want to reach. Then they go back to the present and figure out what they need to do or not do to get to the futures they want. Long-term thinking can help with your job, your career, your marriage, your relationships, your money, and your personal behavior. We'll talk about all of these topics in the next few pages. In the short term, successful people make sure that everything they do lines up with where they want to be in the long term. They always keep themselves in check. When you think about the long term, sacrifice may be the most important word. People who are better at what they do can make changes, big and small, in the short term so that they can get better results and benefits in the long term. Instead of spending most of their time talking and having fun in the present, people who spend hours or even years getting better at things to make themselves more useful so they can have a better life in the future show that they are willing to make sacrifices. One time, Longfellow wrote, "Those heights were reached and held by great men, were not reached by sudden flight and, however, while their friends slept, climbed up through the night." The key to making a great life for yourself is to be able to think, plan, and work hard in the short term, and to train yourself to do what is right and important before what is fun and easy. You have learned how to think about the future. You can more accurately guess what will happen to you in the future because of what you do now as you get better at it. This is a trait of the great thinker. Gains in the short term can hurt in the long term. For those who lack self-discipline, there are two rules that can catch you. The first is known as the rule of unexpected effects. Because people don't think about the long term, This law says that the unexpected consequences of a behavior can be much worse than the planned consequences. The second law is the law of twisted effects. It says that making a quick decision to get something right away can have results that are the exact opposite of what was intended. You might spend time, money, or emotion with the goal of being better off and happier as a result. However, because you didn't think about what you were doing or do your homework first, the results of your action were much worse than if you hadn't done anything at all. This has happened to everyone, and most of the time, it's happened more than once. What all successful people have in common. A businessman named Herbert Gray did a long-term study to find what he called the common denominator of success. After 11 years, he finally came to the conclusion that the one thing that all successful people have in common is that they regularly do the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do. What did these things look like? It turns out that the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do are also the things that successful people don't like to do. But successful people do them anyway because they know that this is what they have to do to get more success and benefits in the future. Gray discovered that people who are successful care more about getting good results, while people who are unsuccessful care more about getting good methods. People who were successful and happy cared more about the good things that would happen in the long run, while people who weren't successful cared more about their own pleasure and instant satisfaction. Dennis Waitley, a motivational speaker, said that the best people were more interested in activities that helped them reach their goals, while the normal people were more interested in activities that helped them relax. Dinner first, then dessert. One of the easiest ways to be self-disciplined is to eat dinner before dessert. Dishes should be eaten in a certain order, and cake should come last. After you finish the main course and wipe clean your plate, you have dessert. A cute but false car sticker says, "Life is short, eat dessert first." Imagine what would happen if you didn't eat a healthy dinner when you got home from work, but instead ate a big apple pie with ice cream. What would make you want to eat healthy, nutritious food afterward? Having so much sugar in your body, how would you feel? Would it make you feel refreshed and ready to get things done? Do you think you would feel tired and sluggish, ready to call the day mostly over? It's the same thing that happens when you have a few drinks after work and then watch TV at home. These are just different kinds of food that will make it hard for you to do anything helpful for the rest of the night. Perhaps the worst thing is that doing something over and over again quickly turns into a habit, and it's hard to break a habit once it forms. It gets stronger over time to do what's easy, what's fun, or what you enjoy, like eating dessert before dinner. This habit always leads to weakness, underachievement, and failure. How to form a self-discipline habit. Self-discipline is a good skill that you can form. Your ability to consistently force yourself to do what you need to do when you need to do it, even when you don't feel like it gets stronger over time. You're not going to make excuses. It's simple to get into bad habits, but it's tough to keep them up. Getting into good habits is hard, but it's not hard to live with them. Also, Good has said that everything is hard at first. Self-discipline, self-mastery, and self-control are habits that are hard to form at first, but they're easy to use once you've learned them. You start to feel bad when you're not acting in a self-disciplined way, when you have strong habits of self-discipline and stick to them. The good news is that you can learn any habit. You can pick up any habit that will help you change into the person you want to be. To become a good person, you need to be able to control your impulses when they arise. Each self-discipline practice makes the ones that come after it stronger. It's a shame that every weakness in one subject makes your other skills weaker as well. Making a clear choice about how you will act in a certain situation is the first step to developing the habit of self-discipline. Then, You won't let any exceptions happen until you've made self-discipline a strong habit in that area. Every time you slip up, which you will, you promise yourself that you will keep working on your self-discipline until it is easier to be disciplined than not to be disciplined. The big prize. The benefits of being very self-disciplined are out of this world. Your self-esteem and your ability to be disciplined go hand in hand. You will like and value yourself more the more you master and control yourself. You will feel more self-respect and pride in your own abilities the more you train yourself. Your self-image gets better as you work on being more self-disciplined. It makes you feel better to look at and think about yourself. Your mood is better and you feel stronger. Getting into and staying in the habit of self-discipline is a fight that lasts a lifetime. It never stops. In the back of your mind, you are always tempted to take the easiest route or do what is most convenient. They are always looking for a chance to take advantage of you and steer you away from what is hard, important, and fun, and toward what is fun, easy, and not important. Napoleon Hill said at the end of his best-selling book, with the same name, that self-discipline is the key to wealth. Self-discipline is important for having high self-esteem, respect, and pride in your own person. Developing self-discipline is the only way to be sure that you will get through all of your problems and make a great life for yourself. A big reason some people are more successful and happy than others is that they can be self-disciplined. There are 21 areas of life where self-discipline is essential to reaching your full potential and doing everything that is possible for you. I will talk about these areas in the next few pages. This book is broken up into 3 parts to make it easier to use. Part 1 is called Self-Discipline and Personal Success. It has 7 chapters that will teach you how to reach more of your full potential by being self-disciplined in all areas of your life. For example, you will learn how to set goals, build character, take responsibility, become more courageous, and be persistent and determined in everything you do. You will learn how to do a lot more than ever before in business, sales, and your personal finances in the 7 chapters of Part 2. You learn why and how self-discipline is important for becoming a leader in your field, running a business more successfully, making more sales, spending smarter, and making the best use of your time. Finally, Part 3's 7 chapters will teach you how to use the miracle of self-discipline in your everyday life. In order to be happy, healthy, fit, married, have kids, make friends, and find peace of mind, you will learn how to be self-disciplined. You will learn how to make your relationships better in every part of your life. For each part, I will show you how to be more self-disciplined and master your own life in every way. Your personal and professional growth is completely in your hands. In the pages that follow, you will learn how to become a better, happy, and more confident person in all the important areas of your life. You will discover how to break old habits that might be holding you back and how to form new ones of self-reliance, self-determination, and self-discipline that will help you reach any goal. There will be lessons on how to fully master your thoughts, feelings, and future. When you learn how to be self-disciplined, you will be like a natural force that can't be stopped. You will never say why you aren't moving forward. In the next few months and years, you'll get more done than most people do in their whole lives. Part 1. Self-control and getting things done. The person you become is more important to your success in life than the things you do or get. Aristotle said that the most important thing in life is to grow as a person. To become a good person, you will learn how to create and use discipline in these parts. You will learn how to boost your confidence, self-esteem, and sense of pride in yourself. You will learn the most important habits you need to be great and how to incorporate them into your own character and attitude. Part 1. Self-control and doing well. Someone once said, The first and best victory is to conquer oneself. Why do some people get so much done in their personal and business lives while others don't? Some of the smartest people in history have thought about this question. Aristotle wrote more than 2,300 years ago that being happy is the most important thing in life. How shall we live in order to be happy, he said, was the big question that each of us must answer. How quickly and correctly you can ask and answer that question for yourself, and then follow where your answer takes you, will determine this. Start with your own definition. What does success mean to you? How would your life be if you could wave a magic wand and make everything beautiful? Describe your dream life. What would your business, work, and job look like if they were perfect in every way? What are you going to do? What kind of business do you want to work for? What kind of job would you have? How much cash would you get? Who would you like to work with? Also, what do you think you should do more or less of to make your dream job a reality? What would your family life be like if everything was so great? How would you live, and where would you live? What kind of way of life do you want? Things you'd like to have and do with your family is what you describe. What would you change about your family life today if you could wave a magic wand and do whatever you wanted? What would you say about your health if it were 100%? What would you think? How much do you weigh? In what ways would your health and fitness be different from what they are now? What are the most important things you could do right away to start getting your health and energy back to where they should be? How much money would you have in the bank if everything went smoothly with your money? How much would your savings earn you every month and every year? How much would you have if you already had enough money to never have to worry about money again? What steps could you take right now to make your financial life perfect? People often say that success means being able to live your life the way you want, doing the things you want to do with the people you want to do them with, and in the situations you want to be in. As soon as you start to think about what success means to you, you can see right away what you need to do more or less of to start making your dream life come true. You're most likely stopping yourself from going after your dreams because you're not disciplined enough or because you have a lot of reasons. It's not that you don't know what to do. You just aren't disciplined enough to do it even when you don't want to. Consider becoming a member of the top 20% of our society. These people make 80% of the money and enjoy 80% of the riches and awards. In the many years since Vilfredo Pareto first came up with this idea in 1895, it has been proven over and over again. It's important to set a goal of becoming one of the top 20 people in your area. Knowledge and skill are very valuable in the 21st century. You are more skilled and useful the more information you learn and the better you use what you know. Like compound interest, your ability to make money goes up as you get better at what you do. The bottom 80% of people don't make much or any effort to improve their skills, which is a shame. Talent is Overrated, a book by Jeffrey Colvin that came out in 2009, says that most people learn their jobs in the first year and never get better at them after that. Only the best people in every area are dedicated to always getting better. The wealthiest 1% of Americans now control as much as 33% of the country's money. This is because there is a growing gap in people's ability to make money based on knowledge, skill, and hard work. Beginning with nothing. It's interesting that most people begin their lives with little or nothing. There are a lot of first-generation riches in America and around the world. In other words, most people started out with little or nothing and worked hard to earn everything they have now. The richest people in the United States are almost all first-generation billionaires. This is the case with people like Paul Allen, Warren Buffett, Larry Ellison, Michael Dell, and Bill Gates. 80% of millionaires and multimillionaires didn't start out with much money. Some, like Sam Walton, who died worth more than $100 billion, were even broke or heavily in debt. What's the difference between these people who have done so much and those who have not? For their book, The Millionaire Next Door, Thomas Stanley and William Danko talked to and examined more than 500 millionaires over the course of 25 years. They asked them why they thought they were financially independent when most of the people around them who started out in the same situation were still having a hard time. A huge 85% of this new group of millionaires said something like, "I wasn't smarter or more educated than anyone else, but I was willing to work harder than anyone else." This is the key: hard work. Discipline is an important thing to have if you want to work hard. You can only be successful if you can fight the urge to skip steps and do things the easy way. You can only be successful in the long run if you can make yourself work hard for a very long time. I began my own life without any money or benefits, as I said in the beginning. I worked hard jobs for years and made just enough to get by from paycheck to paycheck. I got into sales by accident when I couldn't find work as a laborer. That's where I stuck for months before I finally asked myself, why do some people sell things better than others? I heard from a top salesperson one day that the top 20% of sellers make 80% of the money. That rule is new to me. On the other hand, the bottom 80% of sellers had to be happy with the 20% that was left over after the best ones took the majority. That very moment, I made up my mind that I would be in the top 20. This choice changed my whole life. First, I learned the great law. Then I learned the iron law of the world, which let me get into the top 20%. It was the rule of planting and reaping, or what you sow will grow. This law states that there is a precise reason or set of causes for every result. It says that if you want to be successful in any area, you need to figure out how to be successful there and then keep doing the same things and skills until you get the same results. The rule is that if you keep doing what great people do, you will finally get the same benefits as them. But nothing will help you if you don't do what great people do. The law of planting and reaping in the Old Testament is like the law of cause and effect, but it says different things. That which a person sows, that person will also receive. This law says that you get back what you put in. The verse also says that what you are harvesting now is because of what you sowed before. That means if you're not satisfied with your current crop, you need to plant a new one today. You need to do more of the things that will help you succeed and less of the things that won't. You can plan for success. Success doesn't happen by accident, and unfortunately, failure doesn't happen by accident either. If you want to be successful, you need to keep doing the things that successful people do until they become habits. In the same way, you will fail if you don't do what great people do. Nature doesn't care either way. There is no side that nature takes. It's okay with nature. It's just the rule that what happens to you happens because of something else. You could think of yourself as a machine that has a built-in system. As I said in the beginning, your default mechanism is the almost overwhelming pull of the easiest way and the factor of convenience. If you don't have self-discipline, your default system turns off by itself. That's why most people don't reach their full ability and don't meet their goals. Your default mode is on when you are not working on purpose, constantly and knowingly to do, be, and have the things that make you successful. In the short term, you do those fun, easy, and low-value things that make you unhappy, worried about money, and fail in the long term. The famous oil man H.L. Once upon a time, Hunt was the richest self-made billionaire in the world. A TV reporter once asked him for his keys to success. First, decide exactly what you want in life. Second, figure out the price you'll have to pay to get what you want. And third, and this is the most important, make up your mind to pay that price. Once you know what you want, Being willing to pay that price is one of the most important things you need to be successful. If someone wants to be successful, they are ready to pay any price and keep going until they get what they want. Most people aren't ready to pay the price to be successful, happy, healthy, thin, and rich. There are times when they might be ready to pay some of the price, but not the whole amount. They always put things off and find a reason why they shouldn't do what they need to do to reach their goals. Pay the price. How do you know when you've fully paid for success? It's easy. Just look around. Your present way of life and your bank account will always show you how much of the price of success you have paid. The law of communication says that your outside world will always match who you are and what you've been through on the inside. One interesting thing about the cost of success is that it must always be paid for ahead of time and in full. No matter how you look at it, success is not like a place where you pay when you're done eating. Instead, it's more like a cafeteria where you can pick anything you want but have to pay for it first. Motivational speaker Zig Ziglar says, "The elevator to success is broken, but the stairs are always open." Learn from the pros. Kopmeyer, who I talked about in the beginning, also told me that learning from the pros is the second most important success principle after self-discipline. He said, "You will never live long enough to learn it all for yourself. If you want to be successful, your first job is to learn what you need to learn in order to achieve the success you desire. Learn from the experts, read their books, listen to their audio programs, attend their seminars, write to them, or approach them directly and ask for advice. Sometimes one idea is all you need to change the direction of your life. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Some years ago, I was referred by a friend to an excellent dentist. I learned later that he had a superb reputation. He was called the dentist's dentist. He was the dentist that the other dentists went to when they needed excellent dental work. He told me that he attended every major dental conference that he could. When he was there, he attended every session, listening to dentists from all over the country and all over the world discuss the latest breakthroughs in dental technology. One week, at great sacrifice of time and money, he attended an international dental conference in Hong Kong. At that conference, he sat in on a session given by a Japanese dentist who discovered a new technology in cosmetic surgery that improved the appearance of teeth and enabled people to look handsome or beautiful indefinitely. He returned to San Diego and immediately began using the new technique in his practice. Soon, he became excellent in this area and developed a national reputation. Within a couple of years, people were coming to him from all over the southwestern United States for this treatment. Because he had developed this expertise, he could raise his fees again and again. Eventually, he had made so much money that he was able to retire at the age of 55, financially independent and able to spend the rest of his life with his family, traveling and fulfilling his dreams. The point of this story is that by continually seeking out ideas and advice from other experts in his field, he came across a new technology that helped him become the leader in his field and saved him 10 years of hard work in order to achieve the same level of financial success. This could happen to you as well, but only if you become a lifelong student of your craft. Mental and physical fitness need to be ongoing. Achieving success is like achieving physical fitness. It is like bathing, brushing your teeth, and eating. It is something that you need to do continuously, every day. Once you begin, you never stop until your life and career are over and you've achieved all the success you desire. Not long ago, I was giving a seminar in Seattle. Just before the break, I encouraged people to buy and listen to my audio programs on sales, time management, and personal success. At the break, several people came up to me to ask me questions about the seminar content. One salesman pushed his way forward and said loudly, When you encourage people to buy your programs, you should tell them the whole truth. I asked, "How do you mean?" "You're not telling the whole truth about your shows," he said next. I asked him again, "What do you mean?" "You should tell people that they can only work for a certain amount of time and then they stop." "Well, I went to your class about 5 years ago and was completely persuaded by what you said," he replied. "I bought all of your shows and started to listen to them. You were right. I read every day in sales. I tripled my income and became the top seller at my company over the next 3 years. After that, though, my pay stopped going up and hasn't gone up at all in the last 2 years. The truth is that your resources stop working after a while." I then asked him in front of everyone, "What happened to your income 2 years ago when it stopped going up?" He tried to remember, thought for a moment, and then said, "Well, I was selling so much that another company hired me. My pay has been the same since I started my new job." I asked him, "What did you do differently at your new job than at your old job?" He began to answer, but then stopped. He looked shocked, and then he said, "Oh my gosh, I stopped doing it. I stopped reading in sales when I changed jobs. Audio programs are no longer playing for me. I stopped going to workshops. I stopped doing it." He walked away, shaking his head, muttering to himself, "I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it." Becoming an expert in your field, continually upgrading your skills, which I will talk about in Chapter 5, is like physical fitness. If you stop exercising for any period of time, you don't maintain your fitness at the same level. You begin to decline. Your body and your muscles become softer and weaker. You lose your strength, flexibility, and stamina. In order to maintain them, you must keep working at them every day, every week, and every month. Become all you can be. There's an even more important reason for you to practice the self-discipline that leads onward and upward to the great successes that are possible for you. The practice of self-discipline enables you to change your character, to become a stronger and better person. The exercise of self-discipline has a powerful effect on your mind and emotions, developing you into a different person from the one that you would have been without self-discipline. Imagine yourself in a chemistry lab. You mix a series of chemicals in a petri dish and put it over a Bunsen burner. The Bunsen burner heats the chemicals to the point at which they crystallize and become hardened. But once you crystallize these chemicals using intense heat, they cannot be transformed back into liquid form. In the same way, your personality begins like a liquid, soft, fluid, and formless. But as you apply the heat of self-discipline, as you exert yourself to do what is hard and necessary rather than what is fun and easy, your personality crystallizes and hardens at a higher level as well. The greatest benefit you enjoy from exerting self-discipline in the pursuit of your goals is that you become a different person. You become stronger and more resolute. You develop greater self-control and determination. You actually shape and strengthen your personality and transform yourself into a better person. The rule is that to become someone that you have never been before, you must do something that you have never done before. This means that to develop a superior character, you must exert ever higher levels of self-discipline and self-mastery on yourself. You must do the things that average people don't like to do. Another success principle is that to achieve something that you've never achieved before, you must learn and practice qualities and skills that you've never had before. Self-discipline changes you into a new person, better, stronger, and more clearly defined. You gain more self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride. You move up the ladder of human evolution and become a person with more character and resolve. Success is its own reward. The great thing about success is that every step you take toward it is rewarding in its own way. Everything you do to become a better person is rewarding. Next chapter, I'll talk about how you can become the truly great person you can be. Now, here are some projects for you to do. Get a pen and paper and write down your answers to the questions below. In an ideal world, what would your job and business look like? What one habit could you pick up that would help you get there? In an ideal world, what would your family life look like? And what one habit would help you the most to make it happen? What kind of control would you have if your health was perfect in every way? If everything went smoothly with your money right now, what one habit would you pick up that would really help you? What's stopping you from being as great as you want to be? Which one habit would help you reach all of your goals the most? How could you improve one skill that would help you reach more of your goals? Which discipline would make the biggest difference in your life if you could wave a magic wand and be completely focused in one area? Part 2. Self-Control and Personality. Henry Ward. Beecher said, "Set a higher standard for yourself than what other people expect of you. Don't make excuses. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Be strict with yourself, but easy on everyone else." Building character is the most important thing in life. Being known as a person of character and honor is the best thing you can do in both social and professional situations. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear a word you say." Your character is made up of all the choices and decisions you've made in your life so far. The great virtues. There are a series of virtues or values that are usually possessed by a person of character. These are courage, compassion, generosity, temperance, persistence, and friendliness, among others. We'll talk about some of these in part 3 of this book. Coming before all these values, however, is the most important one of all when determining the depth and strength of your character: integrity. It is your level of integrity, living in complete truth with yourself and others, that demonstrates more than anything else the quality of your character. In a way, integrity is actually the value that guarantees all the other values. When your level of integrity is higher, you are more honest with yourself and more likely to live consistently with all the other values that you admire and respect. However, it takes tremendous self-discipline to become a person of character. It takes considerable willpower to always do the right thing in every situation, and it takes both self-discipline and willpower to resist the temptation to cut corners, to take the easy way, or to act for short-term advantage. All of life is a test to see what you are really made of deep down inside. Wisdom can be developed in private, through study and reflection, but character can only be developed in the give and take of daily life, when you are forced to choose and decide among alternatives and temptations. The test of character. You show what kind of person you really are only when you are under a lot of stress and have to decide whether to stick to a value or give in to temptation. Emerson also said, "Guard your integrity as a sacred thing." In the end, only the integrity of your own mind is sacred. You are a choosing organism. You are always making choices, one way or the other. Every choice you make shows what your true values and priorities are. At any given moment, you choose what is more important or of higher value to you over what is less important or of lesser value. Character is the only thing that can keep you from giving in to temptation, taking the easy way, or doing what you think is best. The big payoff. The payoff for becoming a person of character, for exercising your willpower and self-discipline to live consistently with the very best that you know, is tremendous. When you choose the higher value over the lower, the more difficult over the easy, the right over the wrong, you feel good about yourself. Your self-esteem increases. You like and respect yourself more. You have a greater sense of personal pride. In addition to feeling excellent about yourself when you behave with character, you also earn the respect and esteem of all the people around you. They will look up to you and admire you. Doors will be open for you. People will help you. You'll be paid more, promoted faster, and given even greater responsibilities. As you become a person of honor and character, opportunities will appear all around you. On the other hand, you can have all the intelligence, talent, and ability in the world, but if people do not trust you, you will never get ahead. People will not hire you, and if they do, they will de-hire you as soon as possible. Financial institutions will not lend you money because birds of a feather flock together. The only associates, never friends, you will ever have will be other people of questionable character. Furthermore, since the people you associate with have a major effect on your attitude and personality, you make or break your entire life with the quality of your character or the lack thereof. All progress in society starts with the development of the character of the young, as Aristotle said. This means that the first step toward progress in your life is to learn and live by your values. There are 3 ways to learn values: through instruction, study, and practice. Let's take a closer look at each one. Teach your children values. One of the chief roles of parenting is to teach children values. This requires patient instruction and explaining values to them over and over again as they are growing up. Once is never enough. The value and the importance of living by that value must be explained. Parents must not only give illustrations, but also contrast the adherence to a value, especially that of telling the truth, with its opposite, that of lying or telling half-truths. Children are very susceptible to the lessons they receive from the important people in their lives as they are growing up. They accept what you say as their parent, as a fact, as absolute truth. They absorb what you say like a sponge. You write your description of values on their souls, which are like wet clay, so that what you write becomes a permanent part of the way they see the world and relate to life. More than anything else, as we'll see in Chapter 19, you demonstrate your values in your behavior. Your children watch you and strive to emulate the values that you not only teach and preach, but also practice. And they are always watching. The Rockefeller family children were famous for being taught financial values at an early age. Even though their father was one of the richest men in America, the children were given tasks and chores to perform before they received their allowances. They were then instructed on how to spend their allowances, how to save, how much to give to charity, and how much to invest. As a result, they grew up to become successful businessmen and statesmen, unlike children who had grown up in wealthy homes who were seldom disciplined in money matters. Study the values you admire. You learn values by studying them closely. The law of concentration says that whatever you dwell upon grows and increases in your life. What this means is that when you study and read stories about men and women who demonstrated the kind of values that you admire and respect, and then think about those stories and that behavior, those values sink ever deeper into your mind. Once these values are programmed into your subconscious, they create a propensity within you to behave consistently with those values when the situation requires them. For example, in military training, soldiers are continually told stories of courage, obedience, discipline, and the importance of supporting their fellow soldiers. The more they hear these stories, discuss them, and think about them, the more likely they are to behave consistently with these values when they're under the pressure of actual combat. The core value or virtue of character is truth. Whenever you tell the truth, however inconvenient it may be at the time, you feel better about yourself, and you earn the respect of the people around you. One of the highest accolades you can pay another person is to say that he or she always tells the truth. What are the people you look up to, both living and dead? Your character is shaped by them. Who are they? Look back over your life and make a list of the people you admire the most. Next to their names, write down the virtues or values that they most represent to you. If you could spend an afternoon with anyone, living or dead, who would it be and why? What would you talk about? As the Roman Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Circumstances do not make the man, they merely reveal him to himself." When a problem arises, people tend to react automatically based on the highest values they have developed up to that point. We develop values by repetition, by acting consistently with a certain value over and over again until it becomes a habit. The structure of personality, the psychology of character, involves the three parts of your personality: your self-ideal, your self-image, and your self-esteem. Your self-ideal is that part of your mind composed of your values, virtues, ideals, goals, aspirations, and your idea of the very best person that you could possibly be. In other words, your self-ideal is composed of those values that you most admire in others and most aspire to possess in yourself. The most important part of your self-ideal is summarized in the word clarity. Superior people are those who are absolutely clear about who they are and what they believe. They have complete clarity about the values they believe in and what they stand for. They are not confused or indecisive. They are firm and resolute when it comes to any decision in which a value is involved. On the other hand, weak and irresolute people are fuzzy and unclear about their values. They have only a vague notion of what is right or wrong in any situation. As a result, they take the path of least resistance and act expediently. They do whatever seems to be the fastest and easiest thing to get what they want in the short term, giving little or no consideration or concern about the consequences of their acts. The evolution of character. In biology, life forms are categorized from the least to the most complex, from single-celled plankton all the way up to the increasingly complex spectrum of life to the human being. Similarly, human beings can be organized along a spectrum as well, from the least to the most developed. The lowest forms of humans are those with no values, virtues, or character. These people always act expediently and take the path of least resistance in their search for immediate gratification. At the highest levels of development of the human race, however, are those men and women of complete integrity who would never compromise their honesty or their character for anything, including the threat of financial loss, pain, or even death. George Washington is famous for his honesty, which was demonstrated in the story in which he admitted that he had cut down the cherry tree. In the same vein, the founding fathers of the United States wrote that, "We hereby pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor to the signing of the Declaration of Independence." In his book, Trust, the Social Virtues and the Creation of Prosperity, philosopher Francis Fukuyama observed that societies worldwide can be divided into two kinds, high trust and low trust. He also argues that the highest trust societies, those in which integrity is most admired, encouraged, and respected, are also the most law-abiding, free, and prosperous. At the other end of the societal spectrum, however, are those societies characterized by tyranny, thievery, dishonesty, and corruption. Each of these is, without exception, both undemocratic and poor. Trust is the key. Trust is the lubricant of human relationships. Where there is high trust among and between people, economic activity flourishes and there are opportunities for all. On the other hand, where there is low trust, economic resources are squandered in an attempt to protect against thievery and corruption, or those resources are not available at all. In the United States, we have the Constitution and Bill of Rights. These documents lay out the rules by which Americans agree to live. They create the structure of our government and guarantee our rights. But they assume that our elected representatives will be men and women of honor, committed to protecting and defending those rights. They want to make sure that only honest men and women can do well in our economic, political and social system over the long term. They also want to make sure that most of the time only honest men and women can get to high positions in society. Our system isn't perfect, and people with bad character do get to high positions sometimes, but not for long. Americans want people to be honest and have integrity. Your self-image, your inner mirror, the second part of your personality, is your self-image. This is the way we see and think about ourselves, especially prior to any event of importance. People always tend to behave on the outside consistently with the way they see themselves on the inside. This is often called our inner mirror, into which we appear before we engage in any behavior. When you see yourself as calm, positive, truthful, and possessed of high character, you behave with greater strength and personal power. Other people respect you more. You feel in control of yourself and the situation. What's more, whenever you actually behave in a manner that is consistent with your highest values, your self-image improves. You see and think about yourself in a better light. You feel happier and more confident. Your behavior and outward performance then reflect this increasingly improving inner picture you have of yourself as the very best person you can possibly be. People tend to accept you at your own evaluation of yourself, at least initially. If you see and think of yourself as an excellent person who is possessed of high character, you will treat other people with courtesy, grace, and respect. In turn, they will likewise treat you as a person of honor and character. Your self-esteem, how much you like yourself, the third part of your personality, is your self-esteem. This is how you feel about yourself, your emotional core. Your self-esteem is defined as how much you like yourself, but it's more than only this. The more you see yourself as a valuable and important person, the more positive and optimistic you will be. When you truly consider yourself to be important and valuable, you will treat other people as if they are important as well. Your self-esteem is largely determined by how consistent your self-image, which shapes your personal behavior, is with your self-ideal or your vision of the very best person you can possibly be. Whenever you act consistently with who you consider an excellent person to be, your self-image improves and your self-esteem increases. You like and respect yourself more. You feel happy about yourself and others. The more you like yourself, the more you like others, and the more they like you in return. By acting with character and in harmony with your highest values, you put your whole life, internally and externally, into an upward spiral. In every area of your life, things will get better and better for you. It's very important to be clear about your role models. The more you admire a person and their qualities, the more you want to be like them, whether you are aware of it or not. This is why it's so important to be consistent. When you act in a way that is consistent with your values, you feel good about yourself. When you compromise your values for any reason, you feel bad about yourself. You can solve almost any problem by going back to your deepest beliefs and values. If you think about it, there have probably been times in your life when you gave up on your values to save an investment, keep a job, keep a relationship going, or keep a friendship going. Each time, you felt worse and worse until you finally broke up with them and walked away. How did you feel when you finally had the courage to do that? Do the right thing. Long-term thinking is an important part of building character based on self-discipline and willpower. The more you think about the long-term effects of your actions, the more likely it is that you will do the right thing in the short term. When you have to make a choice or decision, always ask yourself, what's important here? This is Immanuel Kant's famous saying. If you are not living up to your best values right now, decide right now to face the situation and fix it. As soon as you do, you will feel happy and in charge again. Someone asked the old man, which of these wolves has the most power over you? The old Indian story goes like this. On my shoulders are two wolves. One is a black wolf, evil, who always tries to get me to do and say the wrong things. On the other shoulder is a white wolf, always encouraging me to do my best. That's when the old man answered, the one I feed. As the saying goes, Whatever you think about and talk about increases in your life. When you think and talk about the virtues and values that you admire and respect the most, you program those values deeper and deeper into your subconscious until they start to work automatically in every situation. Whenever you use your self-discipline and willpower to live your life in line with the values that you most want to be known for, you start to move. You should now do the following. Get a piece of paper and write down your answers to these questions. Name 3 people, living or dead, that you look up to and explain one thing that you admire about each of them. 2. Think about the most important trait or quality that you want to act more like in your life. 3. Figure out the times and places when you feel the most sure of yourself and like the best version of yourself. What events make you feel the most confident in your own abilities and worth? 5. What would you do differently from now on if you knew you were already a great person in every way? 6. What is one thing you want people to think of when they hear your name? What can you do to make sure this happens? 7. In what one area do you need to be more honest and have more ethics than you do now? Write down your answer and then start exercising those qualities. Chapter 3. Being responsible and having discipline. If you want to get to the top in business, you have to understand the power and force of habit, said J. Paul Getty. He needs to break the habits that will hold him back right away and start doing the things that will help him become successful right away. To be happy, healthy, successful, achieve, and be a good leader, you need to be able and willing to discipline yourself to take responsibility for your life. Accepting responsibility is one of the hardest things to do, but without it, you can't be successful. Not taking responsibility and blaming other people, institutions, and situations for things in your life that make you unhappy is a complete distraction. When I was 21, I had a big realization. I was living in a small apartment and working as a construction worker. I had to get up at 5 a.m. to take 3 buses to work and get there by 8 a.m. I didn't get home until 7 p.m., tired from carrying construction materials all day. I was making just enough money to get by, but I didn't have a car, almost no savings, or enough clothes for my needs. I didn't have a radio or TV. It was in the middle of a cold winter. Instead, when I had the energy, I read at my little table in the kitchen nook in my small apartment. One late night, I realized that this was my life. It wasn't a dress rehearsal for something else. It was real, and I was the main character. It was like a flashbulb going off in my face. I looked at myself, my small apartment, and the fact that I hadn't graduated from high school. The only job I was qualified for was manual labor. I made just enough to cover my basic costs, and at the end of the month, I had almost nothing left over. I realized that unless I changed, nothing else would change. No one else would do it for me, and no one really cared. It hit me at that moment that I was fully responsible for my life and everything that happened to me from that point on. I was responsible. I could no longer blame my situation on having a hard childhood or making mistakes in the past. I was in charge. I was driving. This was my life, and if I didn't do something to change it, it would keep going the way it was by the simple force of inertia. This realization changed my life. I was never the same again. From that point on, I took more and more responsibility for everything in it. I took responsibility for doing my job better than before, instead of just doing enough to stay out of jail. I took responsibility for my finances, my health, and most of all, my future. The next day, during my lunch break, I started and will continue to do the following. Over time, I learned that 80% of people never take full responsibility for their lives. They constantly complain, criticize, make excuses, and blame other people for things in their lives that make them unhappy. Of course, this way of thinking can have terrible results. It can ruin all hopes for success and happiness later on, from childhood to adulthood. As a child, your parents make all the decisions about your life. They decide what you eat, wear, play with, where you live, what school you go to, and what you do in your free time. Because you are young, innocent, and uncaring. You make more and more decisions about these things as you get older, but because of how you were raised, you subconsciously feel that someone else is still in charge of your life and that someone else can or should care for you. Most people grow up thinking that if something goes wrong, someone else is to blame, guilty, or must be. Get over the mistakes your parents made. If your parents criticized you or got angry with you for mistakes you made when you were growing up, you began to unconsciously assume that somehow you were at fault. If your parents punished you physically or emotionally for doing or not doing something that pleased or displeased them, you felt inferior and inadequate. When your parents withheld their love to punish you for not doing something they demanded, you might have grown up with deep feelings of guilt, unworthiness, and undeservingness. All these negative feelings could then intersect to make you feel like a victim, like you are not responsible for yourself or your life. Once you became an adult, the most common feeling that we have as adults, if we have been raised in a critical home environment, is the feeling that I'm not good enough. Because of this feeling, we compare ourselves unfavorably to others. We think that other people who seem to be happier or more confident are better than us. We develop feelings of inferiority. This can become an emotional trap, the fatal fallacy. If we think that someone is better than us, we subconsciously think that we are worse than them. If they are worth more than us, we think that we are worth less. This feeling of not being good enough or not being worth anything is at the heart of most personality problems and most political and social problems in our world, both nationally and internationally. To get rid of these feelings of guilt and worthlessness that have been ingrained in us, most religions teach about sin, which means that when something goes wrong, someone is to blame, someone has done something bad, someone is guilty, and someone needs to be punished. This idea of guilt and punishment makes people feel angry, resentful, and careless all the time. Lots of people are going to court today to get money and help for something that went wrong in their lives. These people are backed up by ambitious plaintiff lawyers who want to get people money, even if they are completely to blame for what happened, or even if they are to blame. People don't want to take responsibility. For example, people spill hot coffee on themselves and sue the fast food restaurant that sold them the coffee, getting rid of negative emotions. Everyone wants to be happy. To put it simply, happiness comes from not having any negative emotions. Where there are no negative emotions, there are only positive emotions. If you really want to be happy, getting rid of negative emotions is your main goal in life. There are many negative emotions, but the most common ones are anger, guilt, jealousy, fear, and H. Psychosomatic illness is when your mind, psycho, makes your body, soma, sick. Negative emotions, especially anger, weaken your immune system and make you more likely to get colds, flu, and other diseases. Outbursts of anger that you can't control can actually cause heart attacks, strokes, and nervous breakdowns. Here's the great discovery. All negative emotions, especially anger, depend for their very existence on your ability to blame someone or something else for something in your life that you're not happy about. It takes tremendous self-discipline to refrain from blaming others for our problems. It takes enormous self-control to refuse to make excuses. It takes tremendous self-discipline for you to accept complete responsibility for everything you are, everything you become, and everything that happens to you, even if you are not directly responsible for something that happens, like Hurricane Katrina. You are responsible for your responses, for what you do and say from that moment forward. It takes tremendous self-mastery for you to take complete control of your conscious mind and deliberately choose to think positive, constructive thoughts that enhance your life and improve the quality of your relationships and results. But the payoff of this form of positive thinking is tremendous. Blaming is easy. By following the path of least resistance, the easiest and most mindless behavior of all is for a person to lash out and blame someone else anytime anything goes wrong for any reason. People who develop the habit of automatically blaming often become angry at things. Blaming inanimate objects when they do not function as expected is so silly that it almost becomes a mild form of insanity. People become angry at doors that stick. They swear at tools that they are using when they themselves make a mistake. They get mad when their car doesn't start, even if it is an inanimate object. If it doesn't work perfectly, then the thing must be to blame. People will often kick a car that they are mad at, or a box that they tripped over. The antidote to negative emotions. The fastest and most dependable way to eliminate negative emotions is to immediately say, "I am responsible," whenever something happens that triggers anger or a negative reaction of any kind. Quickly neutralize the feelings of negativity by saying, "I am responsible." The law of substitution says that you can substitute a positive thought for a negative one. Since your mind can only hold one thought at a time, when you deliberately choose the positive thought, "I am responsible," you cancel out any other thought or emotion at that moment. It is not possible to accept responsibility and remain angry at the same time. It's not possible to accept responsibility and experience negative emotions. It's not possible to accept responsibility without becoming calm, clear, positive, and focused once more. As long as you are blaming someone else for something in your life that you don't like, you will remain a mental child. You continue to see yourself as small and helpless, like a victim. You continue to lash out. However, when you begin to accept responsibility for everything that happens to you, you transform yourself into a mental adult. You will see yourself as being in charge of your own life and no longer a victim. In Alcoholics Anonymous, people who are having problems with drinking meet with others who are going through the same thing. What they've found is that no progress can be made until the person takes responsibility for his or her problems, both with alcohol and in other areas of life. Once the person takes responsibility, everything is possible. This is true in almost every hard situation in life where you project your unhappiness onto others, money and emotions. A lot of our biggest worries and problems in life are related to money, getting it, spending it, investing it, and especially losing it. As a result, a lot of our bad feelings are linked to money in some way. But the truth is that you are in charge of your finances. You can't put the blame on other people. You are in charge. There is a direct link between taking responsibility and feeling like you have control over your life. This means that the more you take responsibility, the more control you feel. There is also a direct link between feeling in control and how positive you are. The more you feel in control of the important parts of your life, the more positive you are. You can use your intelligence to make excuses and blame other people for things you don't like, or you can use it to figure out why you're responsible for what happened and then take action to fix the problem or make things right. You choose. If there was an accident, like your car getting broken in the parking lot while you're at work, you might not be legally responsible for it, but you are still responsible for what you do next because of what happened. Never complain, never explain. The mark of the leader, the truly superior person, is that he or she accepts complete responsibility for the situation. It's not possible to imagine a true leader who whines and complains rather than taking action when problems and difficulties arise. This sense of responsibility is the mark of the highly developed personality. You take responsibility for your life by resolving in advance that you will not become upset or angry over something that you cannot affect or change. Just as you do not become angry about the weather, you do not become angry over circumstances and situations over which you have no control. Furthermore, you especially do not allow yourself to be angry and unhappy in the present because of unhappy experiences or situations from the past. You say, "What cannot be cured must be endured." It's amazing how many people are unhappy today because of a past event, even something that happened many years ago. Each time they think of the negative experience, they become angry or depressed once more. The good news is that at any time you can stop thinking about, discussing, and rehashing the past. You can let it go and begin thinking instead about your goals and your unlimited future. As Helen Keller said, "When you turn toward the sunshine, the shadows fall behind you." Self-mastery and self-control. Any self-discipline, self-mastery, and self-control begin with taking responsibility for your emotions. You take charge of your emotions by accepting 100% responsibility for yourself and for your responses to everything that happens to you. You refuse to make excuses, complain, criticize, or blame other people for anything. Instead, you say, "I am responsible," and then you take action of some kind. The only antidote is action. The only real antidote for anger or worry is purposeful action in the direction of your goals, which is the subject of the next chapter. Before you turn to that, however, resolve today to first take complete control of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and then to get so busy working on things that are important to you that you don't have time to think about or express negative emotions to or about anyone for any reason. When you exert your self-discipline and willpower in the acceptance of personal responsibility for your life, you take complete control of your thoughts and feelings. By doing so, you become a much more effective, happy, and positive person in everything you do. Now, here are some tasks that you can do. Make the choice today to take full responsibility for who you are and what you become. Don't blame others or try to explain yourself. Choose the person or event from the past that still makes you sad. Instead of trying to explain why you feel that way, try to figure out how you were partly to blame for what happened. Pick a situation from the past that made you sad, and then explain 3 ways that you were to blame for what happened. Choose one person from the past that you are still mad at and make up your mind to forgive them for everything. This will make you feel free. Take full responsibility for your money problems and refuse to put the blame on anyone else. What are you going to do to fix the problem? You should take full responsibility for your family situation with everyone, and you should then act right away to improve your ties wherever there are issues. Accept full responsibility for your health and make the choice today to do or stop whatever it takes to get great health all around. Self-control and setting goals. Chapter 4. Jim Rohn said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Setting clear goals and then working toward them every day will do more to ensure your success than anything else." You need goals to do important things in life. You've probably heard the saying, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there." Just by taking the time to think about what you want in every part of your life, you can make big changes. The 3% factor. It seems that only 3% of adults have written goals and plans, and this 3% earn more than all of the other 97% put together. Why is this? The simplest answer is that if you have a clear goal and a plan to achieve it, you therefore have a track to run on. Every single day, instead of being sidetracked by distractions and diversions, getting lost, or going astray, more and more of your time is focused in a straight line from where you are to where you want to go. This is why people with goals accomplish so much more than people without them. The tragedy is that most people think that they already have goals, but what they really have are hopes and wishes. However, hope is not a strategy for success, and a wish has been defined as a goal with no energy behind it. Goals that are not written down and developed into plans are like bullets without powder in the cartridge. People with unwritten goals go through life shooting blanks. Because they think they already have goals, they never engage in the hard, disciplined effort of goal setting, and this is the master skill of success. Increase your chances of success. USA. Today reported in 2006 on a study that took a large group of people who had made New Year's resolutions and split them into two groups, those who had written down their resolutions and those who had not. 12 months later, they followed up on the respondents in this study, and what they found was astonishing. Of the people who had set New Year's resolutions but had not written them down, only 4% had actually followed through on their resolutions. But among the group who had written down their New Year's resolutions, an exercise requiring only a couple of minutes, 44% had followed through on them. This is a difference of more than 1100% in success, and it was achieved by the simple act of crystallizing the resolutions on paper. The discipline of writing, in my experience working with several million people over the past 25 years, the disciplined act of writing out goals, making plans for accomplishing them, and then working on those goals daily, increases the likelihood of achieving your goals by 10 times or 1000%. This doesn't mean that writing out your goals guarantees success, but rather only that it increases the probability of success by 10 times. These are very good odds to have working in your favor, especially when there is no cost or risk involved in putting pen to paper, just a little time. It is called a psychoneuromotor activity because writing makes you think and focus. It makes you decide what is most important to you and your future. When you write down a goal, you imprint it on your subconscious mind, and it works 24 hours a day to make your goal come true. I sometimes tell people in my seminars, only 3% of adults have written goals, and everyone else works for those people in life. Either you work to reach your own goals or someone else's. What will it be? Mechanisms for success and failure. Your brain has a success mechanism and a failure mechanism. The failure mechanism is the urge to take the path of least resistance, to do what is fun and easy instead of what is hard and necessary. This is the main reason why most people don't reach their full potential. On the other hand, the success mechanism is activated by a stimulus. Goals are powerful. A client of mine recently told me an interesting story. He said that he went to one of my seminars in 1994, where I talked about how important it is to write down your goals and make plans for how to reach them. He was 35 years old, working as a car salesman in Nashville and making about $50,000 a year. He said that day changed his life. He started writing down his goals and plans every day. Take control of your life. Aristotle wrote that human beings are teleological organisms, which simply means that we are purpose-driven. Therefore, you only feel happy and in control of your life when you have a clear goal that you aren't working toward each day. This also means that this ability to become a lifelong goal setter is one of the most important disciplines you will ever develop. In nature, the homing pigeon is a remarkable bird. It has an uncanny instinct that enables it to fly back to its home roost, no matter how far away it starts or in what direction it must go. You can take a homing pigeon out of its roost, put it in a cage, put the cage in a box, cover the box with a blanket, and put the covered box in the back of a pickup truck. You could then drive 1,000 miles in any direction, open up the truck, take out the box, take off the blanket, open the cage, and throw the homing pigeon up into the air. The homing pigeon will circle 3 times, get its bearings, and then fly straight back to its home roost. This is the only creature on Earth that has this ability, except for human beings, except for you. You also have this remarkable homing ability within your own brain, but with one special difference. The homing pigeon seems to know instinctively exactly where its home roost is located. It then has the ability to fly directly back to that roost. In contrast, when human beings program a goal into their minds, they can then set out without having any idea where they will go or how they will achieve that goal. But by some miracle, they will begin to move unerringly toward that goal, and the goal will begin to move toward them. Still, many people are hesitant to set goals. They say, "I want to be financially independent, but I have no idea how I'm going to get there." As a result, they don't even set financial success as a goal. But the good news is that you don't need to know how to get there. You just need to be clear about what you want to accomplish, and the goal-striving mechanism in your brain will guide you unerringly to your destination. For example, you can decide that you are going to find your ideal job in which you work for and with people you like and respect, and do work that is both challenging and enjoyable. You take some time to write down an exact description of what your ideal job and workplace would look like, and then you go out into the job market and begin searching. After a series of interviews, you will often walk into the right place at the right time and find yourself in exactly the right job. Almost everyone has had this experience at one time or another. You can have it by design rather than by chance, simply by developing absolute clarity about what you really want. The 7-step method to reaching your goals. Simply follow these 7 easy steps to set and reach your goals more quickly. There are more complex and detailed ways to reach your goals, but this 7-step method will help you do 10 times as much as you've ever done before, and you'll do it much faster than you can imagine. First, be clear about what you want. For example, if you want to make more money, not just make more money, decide on how much you want to make. Next, write it down. A goal that isn't written down is like cigarette smoke. It moves away and disappears. It's vague and unreal. It doesn't have any force, effect, or power. But a goal that is written down is something you can see, touch, read, and change if you need to. Step 3. Set a deadline for your goal. Pick a reasonable time period and write down the date when you want to achieve it. If it's a big enough goal, set a final deadline and then set sub-deadlines or interim steps between where you are today and where you want to be in the future. A deadline serves as a forcing system in your brain. Just as you often get more done when you're under the pressure of a specific deadline, your subconscious mind works faster and more efficiently when you have decided that you want to achieve a goal by a specific time. The rule is, there are no unrealistic goals. There are only unrealistic deadlines. What do you do if you don't achieve your goal by your deadline? Simple. You set another deadline. A deadline is just a guesstimate. Sometimes you will achieve your goal before the deadline, sometimes at the deadline, and sometimes after the deadline. When you set your goal, it will be within the context of a certain set of external circumstances, but these circumstances may change, causing you to change your deadline as well. Be flexible. Henry Ford once said, "The biggest goal can be accomplished if you just break it down into enough small steps." Make a list of all the problems and challenges you will have to face, both inside and outside of yourself, in order to reach your goal. Also, make a list of all the new information and skills you will need to reach your goal. Step 5. Sort your list by both sequence and priority. Sorting by sequence means you have to decide what you need to do first, what you need to do second, and what you need to do later. Sorting by priority means you have to decide what is more important and what is less important. Sometimes sequence and priority are the same thing. For example, if you want to start a certain type of business, the first thing on your list should be that. Step 6. Start putting your plan into action right away. Take the first step, then the second, and then the third. Get going, get busy, and move quickly. Don't wait. Remember that procrastination steals both time and life. The only thing that separates winners from losers is that winners are willing to take action. As the saying goes in Star Trek, winners go boldly where no man has gone before. Step 7. Do something every day that moves you closer to your main goal. This is the most important thing you can do to make sure you reach your goal. Do something every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Anything that brings you one step closer to the goal that is most important to you at that time. When you do something every day that moves you closer to your goal, you build momentum. This sense of forward motion motivates, inspires, and energizes you. The 10-goal exercise. This is one of the most powerful goal-achieving methods I have ever discovered. I teach it all over the world, and I practice it myself almost every day. Here's how it works. Take out a clean sheet of paper. At the top of the page, write the word goals and today's date. Then discipline yourself to write down 10 goals that you'd like to accomplish in the next 12 months. Write down financial, family goals, and fitness goals, as well as goals for personal possessions like a house or a car. Don't worry for the moment about how you're going to achieve these goals. Just write them down as quickly as you can. You can write as many as 15 goals if you like, but this exercise requires that you write down a minimum of 10 within 3 to 5 minutes. Select one goal. Once you've written out your 10 goals, imagine for the moment that you can achieve all the goals on your list if you wanted them long enough and hard enough. Also, imagine that you have a magic wand that you can wave that will enable you to achieve any one goal on your list within 24 hours. If you could achieve any one goal on your list within 24 hours, which one would have the greatest positive impact on your life right now? Which one goal would change or improve your life more than anything else? Which one goal, if you were to achieve it, would help you to achieve more of your other goals than anything else? Whatever your answer to this question, put a circle around this goal and then write it at the top of a clean sheet of paper. This goal then becomes your major definite purpose. It becomes your focal point and the organizing principle of your future activities. Make a plan. Once you've written out this goal clearly and specifically and made it measurable, set a deadline on your goal. Your subconscious mind needs a deadline so that it can focus and concentrate all your mental powers on goal attainment. Make a list of everything that you could think of that you could do to achieve your goal. Organize this list by sequence and priority. Select the most important or logical next step in your plan and take action on it immediately. Take the first step. Do something. Do anything. Resolve to work on this goal every single day until it's achieved. From this moment forward, as far as you are concerned, failure is not an option. Once you've decided that this one goal can have the greatest positive impact on your life, and you've set it as your major definite purpose, resolve that you will work toward this goal as hard as you can, as long as you can, and that you will never give up until it's achieved. This decision alone can change your life. Start by mindstorming. Here's another way to greatly improve your chances of reaching your most important goal. This is the most effective way I've ever seen to think creatively, and it's how more people have become wealthy than any other method. Get a new sheet of paper and write your main purpose, your number one goal, at the top of the page in the form of a question. Then make it a habit to write it every day. Then you have to be disciplined to come up with 20 answers to your question. This exercise, called mindstorming, will get your brain working, let your creativity flow, and give you ideas you might not have had before. The first 3 to 5 answers will be easy, the next 5 will be hard, and the last 10 will be harder than you can imagine, at least the first time you do this exercise. but you have to be disciplined and willpower to keep going until you come up with them. The great law of cause and effect. The most important application of the law of cause and effect is that thoughts are causes and conditions are effects. Your thoughts create the conditions of your life. When you change your thinking, you change your life. Your outer world becomes a mirror image reflection of your inner world. Perhaps the greatest discovery in the history of thought is that you become what you think about most of the time. Moreover, the teacher John Boyle said, "Whatever you can think about on a continuing basis, you can have." Napoleon Hill, author of the success classic Think and Grow Rich, which was first published in 1939 and is still selling today, said, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." When you think about your goal continually and work on it every day, more and more of your mental resources will be concentrated on moving you toward that goal and moving your goal toward you. The discipline of daily goal setting will make you a powerful, purposeful, and irresistible person. You'll develop self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-respect as you feel yourself moving toward your goals faster and faster. You will ultimately become unstoppable. In the next chapter, I'll explain how the use of self-discipline to develop personal excellence is the most powerful step you can take to achieve all your material and emotional goals. Now, here's some action exercises for you. Determine today what you really want in life and turn on your success and goal-setting mechanism by writing down 10 goals you want to reach in the next few months. Write them down in the present tense as if you had already reached them. Pick the one goal that would have the most positive effect on your life if you reached it and write it at the top of a different piece of paper. Make a list of everything. Chapter 5. Self-control and being the best you can be. Aristotle said, "We are what we do over and over again." Excellence, then, is not an action, but a habit. You are your most valuable asset. Your life, your potential, and your possibilities are the most valuable things you have. So, your main goal in life should be to fulfill that potential and become everything you are capable of becoming. You have an unlimited ability to learn, grow, and fulfill your potential. People today are graduating from high school and college in their 70s, learning new subjects and developing themselves. Your most precious financial asset is your earning ability. Your ability to work is your primary source of cash throughout your life. You could lose your home, your car, your bank account, everything you own, but as long as you have your earning ability, you can earn it all back and more in the months and years ahead. Your biggest investment. Most people don't realize this. They take their earning ability for granted. But it has taken you your entire life to develop your earning ability. Every bit of education, experience, and hard work that you have invested in learning your craft and developing your skills has gone into building this asset. Your earning ability is very much like a muscle. It can increase and strengthen power year by year as a result of regular exercise. Likewise, the opposite is true too. If left alone or ignored, your earning ability, like your muscles, can become weaker or even decline because you have simply failed to upgrade it continually. In other words, your earning ability can be either an appreciating or a depreciating asset. An appreciating asset is something that grows in value and cash flow every year as a result of continual investment and improvement. A depreciating asset, on the other hand, is something that loses value over time and finally reaches the point at which it is written off, being of little or no further value. The choice is yours as to whether your earning ability is increasing or decreasing month by month and year by year. See yourself as the president of your own personal services corporation. Imagine that you were going to take your company public on the stock market. Would you recommend your company as a growth stock, continually increasing its value and earning ability each year? Or would you describe your company as one that has leveled off in the marketplace, that is not really going anywhere in terms of increased value and income? Would you recommend stock in You, Inc. as an excellent investment? Why or why not? What got you here won't get you any further. Some people are actually losing value each year, declining in earning ability because they are not continually upgrading their knowledge and skills. They don't realize that whatever knowledge and skill they have today is rapidly becoming obsolete. It's being replaced by new knowledge and skills that if you don't have them and someone else does, you will be in danger of being overtaken by your competition. Join the top 20%. In Chapter 1, I mentioned that the 80-20 rule applies to income. The top 20% of people in our society earn and control 80% of the assets. According to Forbes, Fortune, Businessweek, and the Wall Street Journal, and the IRS, by many estimates, the top 1% of Americans control as much as 33% of the assets. The most interesting discovery in income inequality is that most millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires in America are first generation. They started with little or nothing and earned all their money by themselves in one lifetime. In America, there's a high level of income mobility, which means that you are able to move from the lower levels of income to the upper levels. Almost everyone who is in the top 20% today started in the bottom 20%. From that point, they began to do something different with their time and their lives, and as a result, they put themselves squarely onto the upward escalator of financial success. No limits on your potential. The average income increase in America is about 3% a year, just about the same as the rate of inflation and cost of living increases. People whose income is increasing at 3% a year seldom get ahead. They have a job, which can also be thought of as an acronym for just over broke. But the fact is that no one is better than you, and no one is smarter than you. If someone is doing better than you are today, it is simply proof that they have learned how the law of cause and effect applies to their work, and they have begun doing the things that other successful people have also done. The application of the law of cause and effect to your personal life is learning and doing. The achievement of personal excellence is a decision you make or that you fail to make. But in the absence of a commitment to excellence in your chosen field, you automatically default to average performance or even mediocrity. No one becomes excellent accidentally or by just going to work each day. Excellence requires a definite decision and a lifelong commitment. The keys to the 21st century, knowledge and skill, are the keys to the 21st century. Becoming the best person you can possibly be and moving to the top of your field requires the application of self-discipline throughout your life. Mental fitness is like physical fitness. If you want to achieve either, you must work at it all the time. You can never let up. You must be continually learning and growing every day, week and month throughout your career and in other areas of your life. If you're going to join the top 20% and stay there to earn more, you must learn more. Abraham Lincoln once wrote, "The fact that some have become wealthy is proof that others may do it as well. What others have done, you can do as well if you learn how." Everyone who is at the top was once at the bottom. Many people who come from average or poor families with average incomes, or who grow up in every circumstance, have gone on to become some of the most prominent people in their fields. And what hundreds of thousands and even millions of other people have done, you can do as well. The philosopher Bertrand Russell once wrote, "The very best proof that something can be done is that someone else has already done it." Ordinary into extraordinary. Very often you see people who don't seem to be as intelligent or as talented as you are, who are nonetheless accomplishing remarkable things with their lives. There's nothing that will make you angrier than to see someone who seems to be dumber than you, who's doing better than you. How can this be? The answer is simple. At a certain point in their lives, they realized that the key to success was personal and professional growth. It was a dedication to lifelong learning that made them successful. The good news is that almost every important skill is learnable. Every business skill is learnable. Everyone who is proficient in any area of business was at one time completely ignorant in that area. Every sales skill is learnable. Every top salesperson was once a beginning salesperson and unable to make a call or close a sale. All money-making skills are learnable as well. Almost every wealthy person was once poor. You can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. Make a decision. The starting point, if you're moving upward and onward toward becoming one of the most competent, most respected, and highest paid people in your field, is simple. Make a decision. It's said that every major change in your life comes about when your mind collides with a new idea, and then you make a decision to do something different. You make a decision to complete your education, upgrade your skills, or get into a good college. You make a decision to start a new business. You make a decision to take a particular job or start a particular career. You make a decision to invest your money in a particular way. And especially, you make a decision to be the best in your field. Many people say that they would like to be happy, healthy, thin, and rich. But as discussed in Chapter 4, wishing and hoping is not enough. You have to make a firm, unequivocal decision that you are going to pay any price and go any distance in order to achieve the goals you have set for yourself. You have to make that decision and then burn your mental bridges behind you. From that moment on, you resolve to continue working on yourself and your craft until you reach the top 20% or beyond. Follow the leaders, not the followers. When you decide to be one of the best people in your field, look around you and identify the people who are already at the top. What characteristics do they have in common? How do they plan and organize their days? How do they dress? How do they walk, talk, and behave with other people? What books do they read? How do they spend their spare time? Who do they associate with? What courses have they taken? What audio programs do they listen to in their cars? These are just a few of the questions you should ask in order to find out what successful people are doing that you might also need to do. After all, you can't hit a target that you can't see. Your selection of the right role models can have an enormous impact on your future. Dr. David McClelland of Harvard and author of The Achieving Society concluded that your choice of a reference group can determine as much as 95% of your success at achievement in life. Your reference group is made up of the people who you feel are just like me. Your natural tendency is to adopt the attitudes, styles of dress, opinions, and lifestyles of the people with whom you identify and associate most of the time. Fly with the eagles. Some years ago, one of my seminar participants told me his story. Bob Barton said he had started off in his 20s in a large company with about 32 salespeople in his branch. It was his first real job, and he was starting at the bottom. Because he was new, he hung around with the other junior salespeople. As they say, birds of a feather flock together. After a month or two, Bob noticed that the top salespeople in the office also associated with each other. They did. Not spend time with the junior salespeople. They also spent their time differently. When Bob got into work in the morning, the top salespeople were already there, planning their days and working on the telephone and making appointments. Bob also noticed that the junior salespeople would come in later, drink coffee, read the newspaper, and make excuses for not making sales calls. Bob decided that he was going to pattern himself after the top salespeople in the office. He looked at the way they dressed and groomed, and he resolved to dress and groom the way they did. Each morning, he would stand in front of his mirror and ask himself, "Do I look like one of the top salespeople in my office?" If the answer was no, he would go back and change his clothes until he felt that he looked as good as the best people. He began to come into the office and organize his day before 8:30 a.m. so that he was ready to make calls as soon as his customers were available to see him. One day, Bob asked one of the top salespeople if he could recommend a book or audio program that would help him. It turns out that top people are always willing to help other people improve. When he got the recommendation, Bob immediately went out and got the book and sent away for the audio program. He read the book and listened to the program and then reported back to the top salesman. The top salesman gave him some more advice on things to read and listen to, all of which Bob followed. Bob asked another salesperson how he planned his day, and that salesperson showed him his time management system. So Bob began to plan and organize his day the way the top salespeople did it. By using these top salespeople as his role models and emulating them whenever possible, Bob started to make more appointments, see more prospects, and make more sales. Within 6 months, he was one of the top salespeople in the office as well. By that time, the top salespeople had invited him for coffee and lunch, and he became one of them rather than one of the junior people. The next year, Bob went to the National Sales Conference where he met a lot of the top people from around the country. He deliberately sought them out and asked for their advice. What books would they suggest? What audio programs would they recommend? What seminars said they attended? What strategies did they find that were the most effective in building their sales business? Bob did something that very few people do. When he received advice, he followed it. He immediately took action on the advice and then reported back to the people who had given it to him. Within 4 years, Bob became one of the top salespeople in the country. His friends and associates were the other top salespeople in his branch and in the other branches. His income had increased several times. He wore beautiful clothes, drove a new car, lived in a lovely home, and had a wonderful wife. And he said that it all came about as a result of asking top salespeople for their input and then following that input and applying it to his sales activities. But here's the kicker. Over and over, the top people, the ones who had been winning the sales awards year after year, told Bob the same thing. He was the first person who had ever come up to them and asked them for advice. No one else had ever sought them out and asked them why they were so successful. The answers have all been found. Here is a great discovery. All the answers have been found. All the routes to success have been discovered. Everything you need to learn to move to the top of your field has already been learned by hundreds and even thousands of other people. And if you ask them for advice, they will give it to you. Successful people will have their phone calls held, cancel other appointments, and put their work aside to help other people to be successful. But you must ask, and then you must follow their advice once they give it to you. If you can't ask them directly, read their books and attend their talks and seminars. Listen to audio programs created by successful people. Sometimes you can send them emails and ask for advice. Learn from the best. Set high income as a goal. If your goal is to be in the top 20% of money makers in your field, the first thing you need to do is to find out what the people in the top 20 are earning today. This information is available. Just ask around, check industry statistics, go on to Google. You can find this information if you look for it. Once you know the income target at which you are aiming, write it down as your goal. Make a plan to achieve this level of income and work on it every day. Never stop until you reach it. The secret to high income in business and sales is quite simple. Learn and do. Like jacking up a car, you improve one notch at a time. Each time you learn and practice a new skill, you ratchet up your earning ability and it locks in. As long as you keep increasing your earning ability, you keep ratcheting up to a higher level from which you seldom decline. Use the 3% formula to invest in yourself to guarantee your lifelong success. Make a decision today to invest 3% of your income back into yourself. This seems to be the magic number for lifelong learning. According to the American Society for Training and Development, this is the percentage that the most profitable 20% of companies in every industry invest in the training and development of their staff. Decide today to invest 3% of your income into yourself in order to make yourself an appreciating asset, to continually increase your earning ability. If your annual income goal is $50,000, resolve to invest 3% of that amount, or $1,500, back into yourself each year to maintain and upgrade your knowledge and skills. If your income goal is $100,000, resolve to invest $3,000 per year back into yourself to assure that you reach that level of income. The payoff is extraordinary. I was giving a seminar in Detroit a couple of years ago when a young man, about 30 years old, came up to me at the break. He told me that he had first come to my seminar and heard my 3% rule about 10 years ago. At that time, he had dropped out of college, was living at home, driving an old car, and earning about $20,000 a year as an office-to-office salesman. He decided after the seminar that he was going to apply the 3% rule to himself, and he did so immediately. He calculated 3% of his income of $20,000 would be $600. He began to buy sales books and read them every day. He invested in 2 audio learning programs on sales and time management. He took 1 sales seminar. He invested the entire $600 in himself in learning to become better. That year, his income went from $20,000 to $30,000, an increase of 50%. He said he could trace the increase with great accuracy to the things he had learned and applied from the books he had read and the audio programs he had listened to. So the following year, he invested 3% of $30,000, a total of $900, back into himself. That year, his income jumped from $30,000 to $50,000. He began to think, if my income goes up at 50% per year by investing 3% back into myself, what would happen if I invested 5%? The next year, he invested 5% of his income, $2,500, into his learning program. He took more seminars, traveled cross-country to a conference, bought more audio and video learning programs, and even hired a part-time coach. And that year, his income doubled to $100,000. After that, like playing Texas Hold'em, he decided to go all in and raise his investment into himself to 10% per year. He told me that he'd been doing this ever since. I asked him, how has investing 10% of your income back into yourself affected your income? When he smiled, he said, I made over $1 million last year, and I still spend 10% of my income on myself every year. I thought, wow, that's a lot of money. Is it possible for you to spend that much money on yourself? He said, it's tough. Beginning in January, I need to spend money on myself so that I can put it all by the end of the year. A speech coach, a business coach, and an image teacher help me. At home, I have a big library with all the books, radio programs, and videos I can find about sales and happiness. I attend conferences both nationally and internationally in my field, and my income keeps going up every year. There are 3 simple steps to become the best. Becoming one of the top people in your field requires discipline and application more than anything else. There are 3 simple steps that you can follow to become the very best in your field. 1. Read 60 minutes in your field each day. Turn off the television and the radio. Put aside the newspaper and read material about your field for 1 hour each day before you start working. 2. Listen to educational audio programs in your car. Start them and stop them as you listen so that you can reflect on what you have just heard and think about how you can apply the ideas to your work. 3. Attend courses and seminars in your field regularly. Seek them out. Take online courses in the convenience of your own home. Courses that enable you to upgrade your skills and give you important ideas that you can use to be even more successful. The power of compound learning, like compound interest, is quite amazing. The more you learn, the more you can learn. The more you learn, the better your brain functions and the smarter you get. Your memory and retention rate improves. The more you learn, the more relationships you find between something you learned at one time and something you learn at another time. Never stop learning and growing. The achievement of mastery. How long does it take to achieve mastery in your field? According to the experts, the acquisition of mastery requires about 7 years or 10,000 hours of hard work. It takes 7 years to become a master salesperson. It takes 7 years to become a successful business person. It takes 7 years to become an excellent diesel mechanic. It takes 7 years to become an excellent brain surgeon. It seems to take 7 years or 10,000 hours of hard work to get to the top of any field, so you might as well get started. The time is going to pass anyway. The starting point of your achieving mastery is for you to commit to excellence. I've never met a person who made a decision to get into the top 20% in their field who did not eventually achieve it, and I never met a person who got there having not made that decision. Making the decision and then following up with continuous, purposeful, disciplined action is essential. Talent is not enough. As I mentioned earlier, according to Jeffrey Colvin in his best-selling book, Talent is Overrated. Most people learn how to do their job in the first year, and then they never get any better. They just coast in their jobs. But the only direction you can coast is downhill. Many people will work away at a job for many years and never rise above the average. They will do their job from 8 to 5, but they never lift a finger to upgrade their skills. They will not invest any time learning their craft unless their company pays for the extra training and gives them the time off to take it. The average person does only an average job, and as a result, he earns an average income and worries about money all his life. He never realizes that often there is only a thin veil that separates the average person from the excellent person. The fact is that if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. No one stays in the same place for long. 2 hours each day will get you to the top. It's been calculated that all you need to invest is about 2 extra hours per day to move from the average to the superior. Only 2 extra hours each day will move you from worrying about money all your life to being one of the highest paid people in your field. People immediately ask, where am I going to get an extra 2 hours each day? It's simple. Take a piece of paper and do the following simple calculation. Calculate the number of hours in a week. 7 days times 24 hours equals 168 hours. If you deduct 40 hours for work and 56 hours for sleep, you have 72 hours left over. If you deduct 3 hours per day, 21 hours, for getting ready for and traveling to and from work, that leaves you 51 hours of spare time to do with as you please. If you invest 2 hours per day back into yourself, 14 hours per week, you still have 37 hours left over. That's an average of more than 5 hours per day of free time. All you need to do is devote 2 hours each day to move you from average performance to superior performance at whatever you choose to do. Form the habit of continuous learning. The best news is that when you begin reading in personal or professional development literature, listening to audio programs in your car, taking additional courses and upgrading your skills in the evenings and on the weekends rather than watching television, you soon get into the habit of continuous learning. In no time at all, it will become automatic and easy for you to learn, grow, and upgrade your skills every day and every week. The average adult watches about 5 hours of television each day. For some people, it is 7 or 8 hours. They turn on the television first thing in the morning and watch it until they leave for work. They turn it back on as soon as they get home from work. They then watch television until 11 or 12 o'clock at night, going to bed without enough time to get a good night's sleep. They then get up in the morning, drink coffee, and watch television for as long as they can before they go off to work once more. You can be rich or poor. It's your decision. Your television set can make you rich or poor. If you watch it all the time, it will make you poor. Psychologists have shown that the more television you watch, the lower are your levels of energy and self-esteem. At an unconscious level, you don't like or respect yourself as much if you sit there hour after hour watching television. People who watch too much television also gain weight and become physically unfit from sitting around too much. Your television can also make you rich, but only if you turn it off. When you turn off your television, you free up time you can then use to invest in becoming a better, smarter, or more competent person. When you leave your television off, when you are with your family, you'll find yourself talking, sharing, communicating, and laughing more often. When you leave your television off for extended periods of time, you break the habit of watching television, and you'll hardly miss it at all. Your television can be an excellent servant, but it's a terrible master. The choice is yours. Increase your income 1,000%. There is a simple 7-step formula you can use in order to increase your productivity, performance, and output, and income by 1,000% over the next 10 years. It works for everyone who tries it. It is simple. First, answer this question. Is it possible for you to increase your productivity, performance, output, and income by 1,000% over the next 10 years? Your immediate response to this question is critical. The fact is that it is possible for anyone to increase their income 1,000% over the next 10 years. Not only is it possible, but it's possible for you. Second, ask yourself this question. What one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my career? This question, and your answer to it, is the starting point of your becoming an extraordinary person. It is the first step in your journey from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. There is always one skill, one key skill, one core skill that you can develop and do in an excellent fashion that will enable you to make an excellent living in your field. Find out what it is and then make a plan to develop it to the highest possible level. Invest $1,000 in developing your key skill. The key to upgrading your skills and increasing your income is to invest $1,000 each year in yourself. Resolve today that you are going to invest $1,000 each year in upgrading your key skill. Then make a plan to do it. When you invest $1,000 in yourself each year, you are guaranteed to move to the top of your field within 7 years. It is the most extraordinary discovery of all, the $1,000 guarantee. Make a decision right now that you are going to make $1,000 investment in yourself each year. Write out a check to yourself for $1,000 and put it in a sealed envelope. Write on the outside of the envelope, the $1,000 guarantee to myself. Resolve to invest that money back into yourself in courses, seminars, books, audio programs, and coaching that will enable you to develop and improve the one key skill that is most important to your career. As long as you invest that money back into yourself and invest it wisely, you are guaranteed to move to the top of your field and increase your income 1,000%. Double your income every 3 years. By investing $1,000 in upgrading your key skill every year, you are guaranteed to double your income every 3 years. This means that in 9 years, you will be earning 8 times as much as you are today, and in 12 years, you will be earning 16 times as much as you are today. It's not what you earn, it's what you become. When you invest in yourself and upgrade your key skill, you are not just increasing your income, you are also increasing your ability to be successful in every other part of your life. You are increasing your value to your company, to your customers, and to everyone else in your life. You are becoming a more valuable person. And it's not what you earn that's important. It's what you become as a result of earning more money. When you earn more money, you become a different person. You become more confident and self-assured. You become more respected and admired by others. You become a better role model for your children and for everyone else who knows you. And you become a more positive and optimistic person. Unlock your potential for greatness. The good news is that every human being has the potential for greatness. The only question is whether or not you are willing to do what it takes to unlock that potential. The starting point is for you to decide exactly what you want in every part of your life. What are your goals and dreams? What are the things you want to accomplish in your career? What are the things you want to accomplish in your personal life? What are the things you want to accomplish in your family life? What are the things you want to accomplish in your financial life? What are the things you want to accomplish in your spiritual life? Once you have decided exactly what you want, the next step is for you to make a plan to achieve it. This plan will be the roadmap that will guide you to your goals and dreams. Once you have made a plan, the final step is for you to take action. You must take action every single day to move you closer to your goals and dreams. You must be willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to achieve your goals and dreams. If you are willing to do these things, you will unlock your potential for greatness, and you will achieve anything and everything you want in your life. After all costs, what is the key measure of business success? The answer is customer satisfaction. Every effort and activity of your business must be aimed at satisfying customers in a manner that is better than any other competitor. What is the measure of customer satisfaction? The answer is repeat business. It is only when customers buy from you again that you demonstrate that you have fulfilled the promise you made to them when you got them to purchase the first time. A resale to a satisfied customer requires 1/10 of the time and expense as a sale to a brand new customer. All successful businesses rely on repeat business, which is only possible with high levels of customer satisfaction. This is a real discipline. What is the key to long-term profitability? The answer is recommendations and referrals. The ultimate question that determines the long-term success or failure of your business is based on your experience with us. Would you recommend us to others? You can only survive and thrive when the majority of your customers are so happy with your products and services that they will encourage their friends and associates to buy from you as well. Since a referral from a satisfied customer is 15 times easier to sell to than a cold call, which means it only costs 1/15 as much, referral business is the key to your future. You require tremendous focus and discipline to develop and maintain customer service policies that cause people to buy from you, then buy again, and recommend you to their friends. Set high standards. You require the discipline to set standards of excellent performance in every area of your business, and then to continually strive to get even better. You need to practice the CANI formula, which stands for continuous and never-ending improvement. No matter how high your level of quality is today, you can never be satisfied. You must be continually raising the bar on yourself and on everyone within your area of responsibility. You require the self-discipline to work long, hard hours for many months and even years to get to the top of your business. The average entrepreneur, business owner, or self-made millionaire in America works 59 hours per week. Some entrepreneurs even work 70 to 80 hours per week in the first few years of building their businesses. You must be prepared to discipline yourself to put in this amount of time and level of hard work if you want to be the best and get to the top of your field. Think about the solution. To succeed in business, you need the self-discipline to be proactive rather than reactive. You need to focus on solutions rather than problems. You need to concentrate on the most important thing you could possibly be doing every hour of every day, rather than getting sidetracked by low-value or no-value tasks and activities. Above all, you need the self-discipline to settle in for the long term, to develop a long-time perspective in your business life. Because of the intensity of competition, of your own ambition and determination to excel in the profession of sales, business success or failure. Thousands of bankrupt or insolvent companies have been analyzed over the years to determine why they failed. After all the data was sorted and studied, virtually every business failure came down to one reason: low sales. In contrast, whenever a business was succeeding, growing, yielding profitability, increasing its share prices, and offering opportunity for more and more people, the reason boiled down to one factor: high sales. Everything else was secondary. Almost everything you do in a business either increases or decreases sales. Everything either helps or hurts. Everything either attracts or keeps more customers or drives them away. Everything counts when it comes to sales. The discipline of generating sales. Whether you are a salesperson or a business owner, you require the self-discipline to focus and concentrate on generating sales every hour of every business day. A group of researchers interviewed several hundred senior executives and business owners and asked them, "How important is sales and marketing to your business?" Without exception, they all replied, "Sales and marketing is absolutely essential to our survival and growth." The researchers then conducted a time and motion study of these same business owners and executives, following them around and tracking their time usage over the course of a month. At the end of that time, they completed their calculations and determined that the average business owner or executive who professed that sales were absolutely essential to survival and growth was spending only 11% of his time on sales and marketing. The remaining time was spent on meetings, discussions, paperwork, administrative work, luncheons, and a variety of other activities that contributed nothing to sales generation. If you're a sales manager or business owner, you must discipline yourself to focus most of your time and attention on getting your salespeople to generate the sales on which your company depends. You must spend 75% of your time working with your people, accompanying them when they visit your customers and make presentations. Do your paperwork before or after work, but during working hours when customers are available to be seen, you should dedicate yourself entirely to sales generation. How to go broke. Some years ago, I started a new business. I developed the product and then began advertising via direct mail, radio, television, and newspaper. I allowed myself to be completely overwhelmed with planning, paperwork, and advertising activities. By the end of the year, I was out of money, and my business was almost broke. At that time, I realized that I had taken my eye off the ball of sales. I then sat down over Christmas and designed a complete sales process. On January 2nd, I picked up the telephone and began making appointments. Over the next 2 months of aggressive and focused sales activity, I did more business than I had done over the entire previous year. I saved my business and my home, and I never lost sight of that focus again. One of the most important questions you can ask as a salesperson, entrepreneur, or business owner is whether what I'm doing right now is leading to a sale. Ask this question of yourself repeatedly throughout the day. Every time the answer comes up, no, you must immediately stop whatever you are doing of lower value and turn your attention to sales generation. In addition, make sure that all the people who are responsible for sales in your company ask and answer this question in the affirmative all day long. Overcome your fear of rejection. Assuming that you have an attractive product or service, one that is reasonably priced and suited to the current market, the biggest problem that telephone salespeople and outside salespeople face is rejection. The fear of rejection does more to sabotage a sales career and undermine sales activities than any other single factor. It is the major obstacle to sales success. It takes tremendous discipline for salespeople to get up every morning and go out and face the inevitable rejection that they know they're going to receive all day long. Most people cannot handle this continuous rejection. Therefore, to avoid the emotional pain that comes with rejection, many salespeople engage in a series of displacement activities to avoid being rejected. First of all, they make fewer calls. According to Columbia University, the average salesperson works about 90 minutes per day. In other words, only about 1.5 hours out of an 8-hour day. They spend the rest of the time warming up and getting ready, shuffling paperwork, checking the internet, reading the newspaper, chatting with co-workers, coming in late, leaving early, and taking extended lunches and coffee breaks. As a result, by the end of the day, on average, the salesperson has worked only 90 minutes. Increase face time with customers and prospects. When, as a salesperson, actually working, the salesperson is only working when he or she is ear to ear on the phone or face to face with someone who can and will buy within a reasonable period of time. The rule for sales success can be contained in 6 words. Spend more time with better prospects. There's no other way to generate a high, consistent and predictable level of sales results. Because of the fear of rejection, however, salespeople procrastinate, delay throughout the sales day, doing everything possible to avoid getting face-to-face with people who can say no. The key to sales success, as I learned as a young salesman, is to realize that rejection is not personal. Prospective customers always say things like, "No, I'm not interested," or variations of, "I don't want it, I don't need it, I can't use it, I can't afford it, I'm not in the market right now," or "I'm happy with my existing supplier." The professional salesperson realized, to get ahead at work, just come in a little earlier, work a little harder, and stay a little later. That's the price. The other people will never be able to catch up to you after this. Get to work an hour early, before anyone else does. Plan and set up your day, and start on your most important jobs during that time. Make sure that you are always at work before your boss gets there, no matter what time he comes in. Do a little more work now. Work through lunch so that you can get and stay on top of your main tasks and responsibilities. Don't waste time or talk to co-workers. Third, stay at work an extra hour than everyone else. You leave at 6 if they leave at 5. Do the important things you need to do and get ready for the next day with that extra time. You can get 3 full hours of work done if you come in an hour early, work through lunch, and stay at work for an hour after lunch. This is because you won't be interrupted during these times. It's actually possible to get 2 or 3 times as much done as you would during normal work hours when people and calls keep interrupting you. Just by adding these 3 hours to your workday, you can double or even triple your output, performance, and efficiency. Good news, if you come in earlier and leave later, you don't lose anything. You just avoid the traffic jams and delays that most people experience on their way to and from work. The 40+ formula to get ahead faster at work. Use the 40+ formula. Following this method will help you figure out where you will be in 5 years based on how many hours you work today. More than 40 hours a week. As long as you work the same 40 hours every week as everyone else, you will just barely make it. You'll get a 3 to 4% raise every year, and you'll still have a job. But your raises will be the same as everyone else's. When you work more than 40 hours a week, you get ahead of most of the other people in your company and business. Do more than what you are paid for all the time. You should train yourself to put in more than you take out. You will be more successful in the future if you work more than 40 hours a week. Everyone in America who makes the most money works 50 to 60 hours a week. Most people who become millionaires on their own work 59 hours a week. This is the same as working 5 12-hour days or 6 10-hour days. When they first start out, most successful people work at least 6 days a week, and sometimes 7. They also worked the whole time they were there. They didn't wait around. They knew that they had to plant a lot of seeds early in their careers if they wanted to gather a lot later on. Dress like you mean business. Lastly, you need to make it a habit to look the part if you want to do well at work. Remember that like-minded people tend to stick together. In terms of presentation, this means that people like to push people who look like them. The people who work for you care a lot about how you look. When they promote someone, they like to be happy to tell their friends and co-workers about them. Make sure you look good enough that your boss would be happy to take you to lunch and introduce you to other people as a representative of the business. Do I look like one of the top people in my field? Ask yourself every morning before you go to work. If the answer is no, change your clothes and keep doing so until you do. Figure out how to dress to do well. You can read books and papers or ask other people for help. Dress like the people who are doing well in your job. Get dressed for a job that is 2 steps above the one you have now. Always keep in mind that how you look and dress will make up 95% of the first image people have of you. The first impression, the second impression, and the third impression should all match the word you want to send. To become one of the most useful people in their organizations, many people work their whole lives without understanding it. All they need to do is put in a little extra effort, work a little harder, and focus on higher value jobs. You'll put your job on the fast track and almost certainly have a great future if you stay motivated to always make your addition to the company more valuable. In the next chapter, you'll learn that how you act at work naturally determines your rise to leadership, and you'll also see why self-discipline is so important for reaching your full leadership potential. Now, here are some things you can do. You have to decide right now that you want to be in the top 20% of your company and business. How could or should you change things to reach that goal? You should write down all the things you do at work and then pick the 3 most important ones for your company and your job. Make a new work plan for yourself. Start coming in earlier, working harder, and staying later until it becomes normal. Figure out the most important things you need to do for your job and then spend the whole day working on them. Choose the person in your group who always looks their best and make a promise to follow their lead when it comes to how you look. Say to yourself today that you're going to work all the time from now on and that you're going to become known as the person who works the hardest in your company. Get an idea of how important it is. Make up your mind to act quickly when you get a job or chance. This might make your life better. Chapter 9. Self-control and being a leader. Nothing is more harmful to the service than the neglect of discipline, for it is discipline, more than numbers, that gives one army superiority over another. President George W.'s self-discipline and being a leader go hand in hand. Self-discipline, willpower, self-control, and self-mastery are all things that every good leader must have. A boss always feels like he or she has full control over themselves and everything that happens. There has never been a time in history when people needed leaders so much as they do now. Anyone in society, for-profit or not-for-profit, needs to be a leader. There needs to be leadership in our homes, companies, places of church, neighborhood groups, and most of all, in politics. Our society needs men and women who are serious about their duties and ready to step up and take charge. Luckily, you can learn how to be a leader. Over time, hard work, experience, and training help people become leaders. Most of the time, these people grow themselves. In the words of Peter Drucker, there may be natural-born leaders, but there are so few of them that they make no difference in the great scheme of things. There are 4 steps of professional growth. In business, you move up through 4 levels of effort and achievement. As an employee, you start out with little information and experience. Then, as you learn more and get better at getting things done, you move up the ranks and become a boss, overseeing the work and outcomes of other people. Overseeing employees directly makes you better at getting things done through others. As you move up the management ladder, you become a manager, someone who gives work to people who have shown they can do it. Managers see more, and because of that, they are responsible for more. As you gain experience and learn more about how to get better results from more types of people, you move up the management ladder until you reach the top post of leader. It's up to you at this point to decide what needs to be done, not how it needs to be done. People say that some people are born leaders, some people are made leaders, and some people are forced to be leaders. People become leaders or are pushed when they need to be in a position to lead. To put it simply, a leader's job is to be responsible for results. People are moved to higher levels of leadership because they show they can get things done. At every stage, the boss always asks, "What results are expected of me?" It is very important to be clear. This is the main reason why some people don't get promoted or even moved into higher leadership roles. They don't do their jobs. The most important things that are expected of them are not done, and the results that are expected are not met. Vision is a quality of leaders that James McPherson found in 3,300 studies of leaders. It is the first quality of leadership. Leaders have a plan. The leaders of these companies can see far into the future and make plans for where they want their companies to go. Once they have this idea, they can share it with others and get their support to make it come true. As a boss, you are responsible for getting things done. When you think, act, and talk like a leader, you are a leader. When you make a plan for yourself, your company, your life, or the area you're responsible for, you become a boss. Even though there are a lot of books about leadership and how important vision is, they all come down to one thing. A military leader always has a clear picture of winning in mind. When people work hard, they can make their business successful, and the boss is fully committed to that goal. A leader stands for something. People in a group or department follow the rules set by the boss. It is impossible for anyone in the group to have a clear goal or strive for greater greatness than the boss. Because of this, the boss sets the tone and mood for the whole company. Anyone who works for, with, or in the same area as the boss is affected by his or her attitude and authority. In a business, you can't boost confidence. It comes from the boss at the top. People follow the leader's way, and what they do changes how everyone else acts. Everyone in the business will act more positively, confidently, and cheerfully if the boss does. Walk the walk means that you have to train yourself to be a leader when you become one. You need to talk, walk, and act like a boss. As a boss, you take on different duties and become a different person. You start as a member of the staff or sales team and work your way up. You are part of management when you become a boss. This means that when you are on the staff, you are facing up and to the side. When you are a boss, on the other hand, you look down at the people you are in charge of. One of the most important things a leader should do is make time to be a good example. Think about how everyone is watching you and basing what they do and say on how you act. After becoming a boss, you can't just let everything hang out. As soon as you are moved to leadership, you have a special duty to hold yourself accountable for your words and actions so that you can get the best results for your group and for other people. The boss sets the rules for how people should behave, how well they should do their jobs, how well they should organize their own things, how well they should use their time, and how they should look. In great groups, the boss is the person that everyone looks up to and wants to be like. Most of the time, the boss works harder than everyone else in the company. There is no doubt that the boss is dedicated, determined, brave, creative, and persistent than anyone else. The boss makes everyone want to act like them. People in the company are also expected to follow the rules set by the boss. People quickly learn that they must follow the leader's example of being polite, caring, and considerate whenever they interact with them. Set values and principles. A leader must have both a clear vision for the business and a set of values and operating principles that guide how people act and what decisions they make. Everyone needs to know what the company and its boss believe in. That being said, it is the leader's job to explain this vision of high performance that is always guided by moral standards. That person has to show that they believe in and follow the ideals and rules they teach. The golden rule says, "Do to others as you would have them do to you." This is the best way to be a leader. For example, when Jack Welch was president of General Electric, he told managers to treat every worker as if that worker might be promoted above them one day and work for the person who is now below them. To sum up, if you want to be successful at work and as a boss, you have to train yourself to constantly follow certain rules and methods. Some of these are working hard, having clear goals, being self-disciplined, and being an example for others. Individuals can move up in their jobs and make a big difference in the success of their companies by exhibiting these traits. This way of thinking made sure that bosses were polite and respectful to their employees. 7 leadership principles. If you want to be a good leader, you need to follow these 7 rules in everything you do. 1. Being clear. This might be the most important thing you need to do. You need to be very clear about what you stand for and who you are. You need to be very clear on your goals and where you want to lead the people you lead. There needs to be no doubt in your mind about the organization's goals and how they are to be met. You must be very clear about the organization's beliefs, goal, and purpose, as well as what it stands for. People below you and around you must know exactly what their company is for and why they are doing what they are doing. 2. Skill. As the boss, you need to set a high bar for high success for the whole company, for everyone, and for every job. Your company should be at least as good as or better than its best rival. You should always be looking for ways to make your products and services better for your customers. 3. Making a promise. The boss really wants the company to do well and is sure that it is the best in its field or will be in the future. People are driven and inspired to do their best work and give their jobs their all because they care so much about the group and all of its goals. 4. Limits. To make sure the company meets its most important goals of making money and increasing sales, the leader's job is to find the things that slow it down. The boss then assigns people and resources to get rid of the problems and ease the restrictions so the company can be one of the best in its field. 5. Being creative. The boss is willing to hear any and all new ideas. People are always being told by the boss to find faster, better, cheaper, and easier ways to provide great goods and services and better care for customers. 6. Always learning new things. The boss is dedicated to reading, learning, and improving his or her own skills and knowledge as a business executive. For the boss to get better at what they do, they should go to more workshops and classes. The boss also tells everyone in the group that learning and growing is a normal part of doing business. The boss makes time and offers tools for learning and growing. The boss knows that the best companies have the best trained employees, the second best companies have the second best trained employees, and the third best companies have the least trained employees and are about to go out of business. 7. Being consistent. It takes self-discipline for the boss to always be steady, dependable, calm, and regular. One of the best things about working for a company is knowing that the boss will always be there for them. It's not possible for a good boss to change every day. When something new comes up, like a problem or an emergency, the boss doesn't get upset. Instead, the boss is cool, upbeat, and sure of themselves, even when things get tough. The problem that won't go away. The crisis is the only thing that a leader can count on. It is inevitable that when you become a boss, you will face many problems. Crises that are unexpected, unbidden, and often capable of seriously harming the company. In times of trouble, the boss shows how good he is at his job. When there is a problem, the boss stays calm, cool, objective, and in charge. The boss finds out things by asking questions. The boss gets a good picture of what's going on and does what needs to be done to limit the damage or stop the losses. Great leaders train themselves to keep their worries and fears to themselves. They don't tell their staff about their worries because they know it can lead to confusion and low confidence. The leader, on the other hand, asks a lot of questions, digs deep into situations to fully understand them, and doesn't show how he or she feels. The people in the group think that the boss is always cool, upbeat, relaxed, and in charge, no matter what. Self-control and leadership. Being ready to lead is directly linked to your ability to punish yourself and your actions. To get people to trust you enough to put you in charge and keep you there, you have to show them that you are physically and mentally stable. The boss knows that everything he says to or about someone gets amplified. So, the boss supports and praises people both when they are with them and when they are not. He never says anything bad that someone could take the wrong way or that could make them feel down or hurt. If he has a problem with someone, he talks to them alone where no one else can see or hear him. Qualities of a leader. Leaders are disciplined enough to plan, prepare, order, and double-check every detail. Not a single thing is taken for granted. It is important for them to fully understand a situation, problem, or difficulty, so they ask questions. Great bosses act like they own the whole business. They are willing to take on a lot of duty. The boss never moans, tries to explain things away, or says that other people are to blame. Leaders are very focused on getting things done. They carefully gather facts and make the choices that need to be made. They make rules and expectations and make sure everyone follows them. They want the job to be done quickly and well. Leaders get to the top. Leaders get to the top of a group like cream comes to the top of milk. Being a natural leader means taking full responsibility for getting things done, focusing on your most important tasks, constantly improving your knowledge and skills, as well as your ability to add value to your company, and treating others with kindness and care. People above, below, and on both sides of you will want you to be moved into leadership and will back you when you get there as you show that you can make an increasingly useful impact to your company. One of your main goals in life is to behave, speak, walk, and treat other people like a boss would. In the end, your place will match how well you do your job. You will learn how to build and use the habits that will help you do better in business and other areas of your life in the next part. Now, here are 7 action tasks based on this chapter. 1. Ask yourself, what results am I supposed to get? And then work hard every day to get those results. 2. Picture yourself as the boss of your group and ask yourself what kind of business it would be if everyone worked like me. 3rd, make a clear, exciting goal for yourself and your company that is based on success and doing a great job. 4, figure out who the most important people are in your business world and how you should act around them to get the best work from them. 5, make up your mind ahead of time that you will handle the expected problem in a cool, collected, and smart way. Sit down and write down exactly what you believe and stand for. Then, tell the people around you what they are. Also, number 7, treat everyone around you like they are smart, useful, and important. As a boss, this is the key to getting people to follow you and be loyal to you. Chapter 10 is about work and self-discipline. Self-denial in the chase of a longer-term goal, along with the willpower to keep up that level of self-denial, is a great way to prepare for the workplace, as John Viney wrote. Most people will work in or for a business, or own a business at some point in their lives. If you want to be successful in business, you have to be very disciplined in all of your work, no matter how big or small. Business can't be done well without self-discipline and self-control. Starting and running a great business requires more self-discipline than anything else. The first rule of economics says that there is a lack of goods and services. Most of the time, everyone who wants something can't get it. That is, you can never sell everything you want to because there aren't enough buyers. You can never make enough money from sales to reach all of your cash goals. You can't grow as much as you want because there aren't enough earnings. More than that, you can never find enough good people to work with and help you reach your business goals. The law of competition. If price is the first law of economics, then competition is the first law of business. Doing the things you need to do to get people to spend their limited money on your product or service takes a lot of attention and discipline. To not only stay alive but also grow, you have to constantly fight with other ways to spend the same amount of money on what you sell. You should first make sure you have a product or service that people want, need, and are willing to pay for at a price they are willing to pay. That price is the same as every other business that wants the same customer. You have to be honest about your product-service mix to make sure it works well in today's market. Businesses can fail in this area if they make wrong assumptions or come to the wrong conclusions. The answer is always changing because the market and customer tastes are always changing. There's always something wrong with a business. Every week I talk to people who are unhappy with their sales and profits. They keep telling people that their service or product is great and that they should buy a lot more of it. Every time I have to gently remind them that the only proof that their service or product is truly appealing or useful is if people buy it again, and tell their friends to buy it too. The experts say that 70% of the choices you make for your business will turn out to be wrong. When everything is taken into account, this is the average. You'll be wrong even more often if you're new to business or starting a new one. During the first few years of their work, entrepreneurs often get things wrong 90% of the time. Being able to admit that you might be wrong about your most important views and assumptions takes a lot of self-control and character. It's still important to follow this practice if you want to make fewer mistakes, lose less, and put your money and time into giving people more of what they want, need, and are willing to pay for. A lot of hope is needed for all business investments and new businesses. As you work on your new goods and services, you need to have faith in the future of your business. You must be very sure that they will sell, that you're ready to take financial risks and put in a lot of time, money, and even years to reach your business goals. Even though you have no real chance of success, you have to do all of this. On the other hand, you need to be disciplined to keep your optimism in check and stay objective and reasonable. When you're too sure of yourself in business, you could make mistakes, lose money, or even go bankrupt. There is no way around it. Your competitors are so tough and driven that you have to train yourself to be as good as or better than them just to stay alive. Because every morning when your competitors wake up, they think about how they can shut down your business. They wish to take your clients and your sales. They want to take your money. They want you to buy as much as possible from them. If you want to beat this kind of competition, you need to do everything you can to outthink them. When you start a business or a new project within an existing business, you need to be able to stick to your plans and do your study ahead of time. You make a full business plan before you start running your business, and you keep it up to date and change it every year after that. Planning ahead is a skill that can make the difference between success and failure. Don't believe everything you think you know. Most business ideas don't work, at least not in their original form. Peter Drucker once said that wrong beliefs are the cause of all failure. One big reason why businesses fail is that the owner or manager makes assumptions that haven't been tried. They think the product or service is better than others in its category. It is their belief that they can sell enough of those goods or services to make a profit. They also think that the gains will be big enough to make this time and money investment more appealing than any other use of the same amount of time and money. Before making a promise that can't be changed, all of these factors must be carefully tried. The Kaufman Foundation on Entrepreneurship says that 95% of American entrepreneurs and small business owners make less than $50 a year. Why does this happen? It's not that they are lazy, stupid, or unable to make more money. The very fact that someone is brave and clever enough to start their own business shows that they are naturally very talented. A lot of businesses fail because they don't follow through with their plans. It's not in their character to carefully look over every part of the business before committing to it. Instead of going to conclusions and hoping for the best, they don't have the self-control to test what they think they know. Do not let this happen to you. Figure out who your ideal customer is. You have to be disciplined to figure out who your ideal customer is. This is the person who will buy your product or service in enough quantity and at the price you need to charge to make your business worthwhile. To make a marketing plan that brings your business a steady stream of new leads, you need to be disciplined enough to try things out, learn from them, and keep at it. To market well, you need to know what makes you different from others and what makes you special. What is it about your service or product that makes it better and more useful for customers than all the others on the market tonight? It takes focus to build a full sales system from start to finish that turns approved leads into real buyers. A huge number of companies think their product or service will sell itself, even if they don't have a good sales method in place. Know your true costs. You have to be disciplined to figure out your goods and services' correct prices and accurate costs. Walmart has become the biggest store in history, in large part because it is so good at this. An amazing number of companies sell goods and services at a loss because they haven't properly calculated the full costs of launching those goods and services. People often say, "We lose money on every item we sell, but we try to make up for it by selling more." But that's not possible. Quality control is important if you want to make sure that every product or service you sell is so good that your customers are happy to buy from you again and tell their friends about you. You have to be disciplined to come up with a customer service policy that makes you treat your customers so well that they stick with you and never buy from anyone else. An important question: what is the point of a business? The goal of any business is to get and keep customers as cheaply as possible. Making money is not why a business exists. Making and keeping enough people who bring in enough money means making gains. In the end, what is the most important thing that shows if a business works? Customer happiness is the way. Your business should do everything it can to make people happy in a way that is better than any other rival. How do you know if a person is happy? The answer is more business. You can only show that you kept the promise you made to people when they bought from you the first time when they buy from you again. A sale to an existing customer takes 10 times as long and costs 10 times as much as a sale to a new customer. Businesses that do well depend on customers coming back, which can only happen if customers are happy. These are real rules. What is the key to making money in the long run? The answer is word of mouth and suggestions. Whether your business succeeds or fails in the long run depends on how you felt about working with us. Would you recommend us to others? You can only stay in business and grow if most of your customers are so pleased with your goods and services that they tell their friends and co-workers to buy from you too. It's 15 times easier to sell to a suggestion from a happy customer than to a stranger, which means it costs only 1/15 as much. Suggestion business is the key to your future. creating and sticking to customer service rules that make people buy from you, then buy from you again and tell their friends about you. Takes a lot of focus and discipline. Set very high goals. For every part of your business to meet your high standards for excellence, you need to be disciplined to keep trying to get even better. It's time to use the CANI method, which stands for continual and never-ending improvement. You can never be happy with the level of quality you have now. You have to keep raising the bar for yourself and everyone else you are responsible for. The only way to get to the top of your business is to be willing to work long, hard hours for months or even years. In the United States, the average business owner, developer, or self-made millionaire works 59 hours a week. In the first few years of building their businesses, some business owners work as many as 70 to 80 hours a week. If you want to be the best in your area and reach the top, you have to be willing to train yourself to work this hard and for this long. Think about the answer. If you want to be successful in business, you need to be able to control your impulses and act before they happen. Think about how to solve problems instead of problems themselves. Every hour of every day, you should focus on the most important thing you can be doing and not let low or no-value chores and activities throw you off track. Above all, you need to be able to train yourself to stay put for a long time and see things from a long term. Point of view in your work life. Because there is so much competition, it takes years of hard work to become successful in business, whether you are running your own business or working for someone else. To get to the top, there are no shortcuts or easy ways. Hard work, focus, and strong will are the only ways to get there. In most cases, a new business needs about 2 years to break even. To repay the loan you took out in the first 2 years, you need to make money for 2 more years. After that, it takes 3 more years before you're really famous. Also, everything takes 3 times longer and costs twice as much. What makes you think that you should start your own business or go into a new business venture? Since time will go by anyway. You will be 5 years older in 5 years, and 10 periods from now, you will be 10 years older. You will either be at the top of your field by that time or still be one of the 80% who are fighting for every dollar and worried about money every day. You can make your choice. Stick to your rules. In the next part, you'll learn how to handle sales, which are the heart of your business. According to Peter Drucker, the main goal of a business is to get and keep customers. Now, here are some routines that you can do. 1. Take a step back and look at your whole business as if you were an advisor from outside. What changes do you think should be made? 2. Let's say you wanted to start your business all over again right now. Are there any goods or services you wouldn't bring to the market right now? 3. Finding the 20% of your goods and services that bring in 80% of your sales and income is important. How could you get more people to buy them? 4. Think about where your business will be in 1, 2, and 5 years. What are the patterns? In the future, what will your customers buy? 5. Write down 3 ways you can improve your customer service so that people will buy from you again and tell their friends about you. 6. Write down 3 ways that your marketing and advertising could bring you more and better suitable leads. 7. Here are 3 things you could do to get more and better prospects or to make the ones you already have buy more. Nothing happens until a sale takes place. Red Motley. Selling is the most important part of running a successful business. Nothing happens until a sale takes place. All the factories, businesses, offices, and places that make goods and services only start working when someone makes a sale. One of the hardest jobs in the United States is selling things. It's also the only job where someone with little experience can quickly become one of the highest paid workers in the country. Moving up in sales is like going fast on the Autobahn in Germany. There are no stop signs. Putting your drive and desire to do well in sales on full speed will take you as far and as quickly as you want to go. Business success or failure. Over the years, thousands of lost businesses have been looked at to see why they failed. When all the information was sorted and reviewed, it was clear that low sales were the main cause of almost every business loss. When a business was doing well, growing, making money, raising share prices, and giving more and more people opportunities, on the other hand, it was always because of one thing: high sales. Everything else wasn't important. Almost everything you do in business either makes sales go up or down. Everything either makes things better or worse. Everything either brings in more people, keeps them, or turns them away. When it comes to sales, everything matters. The practice of making sales. There is no difference between being a salesperson or a business owner. You need to be able to focus on making sales all day, every day. A group of researchers asked several hundred business owners and senior executives, "How important is sales and marketing to your business?" All of them said, "Sales and marketing are absolutely essential to our survival and growth." The researchers then did a time and motion study of these same business owners and executives, following them around for a month and keeping track of how they spent their time. Around the end of that time, they finished their math and found that the average business owner or leader who said sales were important for survival and growth was only spending 11% of his time on sales and marketing. Meetings, talks, paperwork, office work, luncheons, and other events that didn't lead to sales took up the rest of the time. As a business owner or sales manager, you need to make it a point to spend most of your time and energy on getting your workers to make the sales that your company needs. You have to work with your employees for 75% of your time and be with them when they go to customers' homes and give talks. Paperwork can be done before or after work, but you should only work on making sales during business hours when people are available to talk to you. How to waste money. I began a new business many years ago. I made the goods and then started calling people about it through the mail, radio, TV, and newspapers. I let myself get totally stressed out with all the planning, papers, and advertising. My business was almost bankrupt by the end of the year. I realized then that I had lost focus on sales. Then, over Christmas, I sat down and made a full sales process. When I woke up on January 2nd, I called around and made plans. I did more business in the next 2 months than I had in the whole previous year because I was focused and bold in my sales. My job and home were saved, and I never lost sight of that goal again. Is what I'm doing right now making a sale? That's one of the most important things you can ask yourself as a salesperson, business owner, or entrepreneur. Throughout the day, ask yourself this question over and over again. Every time the answer is no, you need to stop doing something less important right away and focus on making sales. You should also make sure that everyone in your company who is in charge of sales asks and answers this question positively all day. Get over your fear of being turned down. Rejection is the biggest problem that both phone and in-person sellers face, even if they have a good product or service that is priced fairly and fits the needs of the market. Most of the time, the fear of being turned down is the main thing that stops people from working in sales. Because of this, it is very hard to make sales. Salespeople have to be very disciplined to get up every day and go out into the world, where they know they will be turned down every single time. Most people can't handle being turned down over and over again. To escape the mental pain that comes with being turned down, many salespeople do a number of activities that take their minds off of being turned down. First, they don't call as much. Columbia University says that most salespeople work about 90 minutes every day. That is, only about 1.5 hours out of a 24-hour day. The rest of the time is spent getting ready and warming up, moving papers around, checking email, reading the newspaper, talking with co-workers, coming in late, leaving early, and taking long coffee and lunch breaks. Because of this, the seller has only worked 90 minutes on average by the end of the day. Spend more time with customers and potential customers in person. A seller is only actually working when they are talking on the phone or in person with someone who can and will buy within an acceptable amount of time. In just 6 words, the rule for making sales is simple: spend more time with better leads. A high level of regular and expected sales results can only be achieved in this way. But salespeople put things off and wait all day during the sales day because they're afraid of being turned down. They do everything they can to avoid meeting people who can say no. As a young seller, I learned that the most important thing is to understand that rejection is not personal. People who might buy from you always say, "No, I'm not interested," or variations on, "I don't want it, I don't need it, I can't use it, I can't afford it, I'm not in the market right now," or "I'm happy with my current supplier." The professional salesman knew this.